Hi everyone, welcome to FaceHammer. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It's pretty crazy in the chat, so we do apologise in advance when we don't get to you. So just as we start the video, we'd just like to say that thank you very much for Games Workshop. They have sent us a review copy, so this is the actual handbook with the tokens and everything. So we're not leaking. This is official. We're allowed. We checked. We double checked.
So after the last stream, we got a bit worried. Even though we triple checked beforehand, we got like to the minute instructions. So many people like, "Can you do this?"
Yeah.
Yes, we can. We did check.
People feeling guilty for watching, like they were doing something wrong, like they're going to get the police. GW going to knock their door down. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing watching this video? No. Thanks very much. So we'll start off. I know you want to see points. I'll just clarify it now. The GHB is basically the rules for playing in match play and the battle pack for playing in Ghur. We were going to cover that first. So the points will come. There is a poll. If you vote up your faction, we'll start with that faction. We'll get to it. You will see them, but we're just going to do it in order and sort of a bit structured. So, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us. With the GHB, you get these lovely little tokens, which are objective markers, battle tactics, which are double-sided, which are really useful in the game. We'll talk about battle tactics in a bit. You get a points book, which is the thing you all want to see. I'll just do that. Can you see it? Can you see it? No. Sorry, I'll stop it.
The chat is hilarious already. Yes, this is Beachhammer. Hello, boys. Hi, Ben. I'm not sure if that was a comment on my current attire. I'm looking fairly fruity today.
It's like you could.
I'm so sweaty. It's too exciting. It's all too exciting. It's not because I was a bit late.
It's not because you're in the warehouse lifting things, getting dirty.
No.
So the handbook is a hardback cover, which is lovely. With a ring binder. It's got a little strap, which is cool. Helps keep it to the page you want. Inside.
Can I talk about why that's super practical? Just before you move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Because this is a small book, it will fit on any table. It's not double size. It's not going to crush your goblin as you open it, and it will stay on the page you want. Whereas in the last one, the fact that it was a smaller book was a downside because it just wouldn't stay open. So this has been practically made and thought out to be useful on the table and not take up, like prime real estate, which is always in your deployment zone. So awesome.
It's also got tabs, so you can go to your battle plans and it opens, and battle plans are in an A5 sideways view, so you can put them. It's quite useful actually, because I think this will work. I just dropped my blood knight base. There you go. See that? Put it on the
there you go. Like stands up.
Yeah. So really useful, really practical. It's got all the rules at the back as well, all the core rules. So they're at the back. Cool little rules reference on the back cover, which is really useful as well, which basically tells you all the command abilities. So you could just have that as a reference. Your basic prayers and spells. So it's really well thought out. I did say when I saw it, it reminded me of when I used to go to 7th edition events, and Ben Johnson and Ben Curry used to have their little mini rule book that you got in the starter set.
And man files.
With all the tabs sticking out the side. Apparently that was inspired by. So yeah, also he's done a really good job. So I've got the 40k chapter approved. It's very nice. So yeah, cool. So very good. So that's about the.
That was a Ben Johnson tactic to stack his game books and dice in areas you would consider teleporting to.
Yeah, that worked too. Yeah. So. No, Aaron, my camera's it's because we're recording on Discord, so sorry. I've got some images which I'll go through, which is going to be more useful. So, yeah, obviously I did that just to tease you. No, Gary, it doesn't have keto recipes, but if you want some, I can give you some. That's fine. So, yeah.
I cannot help you out with any of that. Vegetables or nothing.
Veggies. So, yeah, I remember the FAQ stickers, amazing. Cool. So we obviously want to get into it, so let's not mess around too much. So that's your book. There's a picture I took of it open, so you can kind of see it in non-mirrored mode. and there's contents. It's not that exciting. So inside the book, you've basically got how you fight pitch battles for match play. So basically you agree a points limit, you pick a faction, you record it on your army list to determine the battle plan, which we all know kind of thing, you know. So so some interesting stuff in it, because this is the battle pack, which is basically, if you're playing this battle pack, these rules will overwrite everything in the core rules, and even in the battle pack in the back of the core rule book. So this is like its own entity. So you play this, right? So you'll notice here points limit. This essentially is like the official tournament pack, how GW events, I guess, will run these basically. There's only 2 points
for a period, I guess, until we get a new one.
To a new General's Handbook, I'd imagine.
Yeah, whatever that season length is.
So you've got the
pitch
battles.
I can't hold the book up to the camera because I didn't get one
yet.
You
don't have it.
No.
Sorry. So points limits is 1,000, 2,000. So people who are familiar with AOS, it's basically what's laid out in the core rulebook, so I'm not going to go through that. But it does say in here, you must pick a faction for your army. All units in your army must be from a single faction. And the faction, when we get to the profiles, is the name at the top of the box.
1,000 viewers.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Just to interrupt. Thank you so much, guys. Much appreciated.
Yeah, be appreciated if you hit the like and subscribe. I get told off now.
Also, Russ and I definitely don't speak Spanish, so apologies.
Yeah, sorry. I don't even know how to say I don't speak Spanish in Spanish. As bad as that. So I
can ask for a white Magnum. That's about it.
Is that bad? I'd order a cocktail, and that's about what you can do, right? So your general's got to have the leader battlefield role. So if you've got leader and bearhammer, if it counts as one of each, this is all the stuff we know, right? So battalions, you can include core battalions, but cannot include Warscroll battalions. So no Warscroll battalions in this season, this battle pack of the General's Handbook. So a few bits in here. Under strength and reinforced units. So pitch battle lists say how many reinforced units you can have, and only battle line units can be reinforced more than once. You cannot include under strength units. So I've seen some people talking about the coherency saying, well, why just set 5 up rather than 6? You can't do that. So it's not.
They're being cheeky.
Then allied units basically is the same. You know, it's no different than what we used to. Now coalition units. So this is something new. So they don't count towards the number of battle line units in your army. However, they do count towards the maximum number of your leader behemoth artillery in your army. In addition, coalition units are ignored when determining if the units in your army are from a single faction. So they're like allies but not allies. And it says in here that coalition units are from another faction. And if you scroll down in this bit, as an example, it talks about Chaos Warriors with the Mark of Khorne and a Blades of Khorne army, and Stormcast in the Cities of Sigmar army. So that would mean that if you're playing Blades of Khorne or Slaanesh, Chaos Warriors with the Mark would not be battle line, because they're coalition units. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then you've got the limits of and the spells invocations, and let's just fill out your army roster. So it's all this kind of stuff. I won't like labor this too much. There's 6 battle plans. I'm not going to go through those. They're pretty cool. Savage Gains is Chuck's favorite. Just want to say that. So I will do a separate video on the scenarios later. I know obviously wants to get into the kind of points, but it's there. So I know a lot of people are asking about chaos, saying like how does that work with the faction wording and that. So it looks like you could take Slaves to Darkness in like Disciples of Zinch and things like that, but they would be coalition units, so they wouldn't count towards your min battle line. So you're gonna have to find your battle line from within your own faction now, it looks like. So you've got your battle tactics. There's some terrain rules. Again, I'm not going to go through all of this because it's fairly standard to what's in the core rule, but we've already covered it. It says don't roll off to see who has priority in the first battle round. Instead, the player who finished deploying their army first has priority in the first battle round. So that's a change point from the core rules. So this bit's really the interesting bit. So this is the special rules for this battle pack. So there's a special rule called Predators and Prey, where once per battle round you score 1 additional victory point if enemy monsters were slain in that battle round. So you get points for killing monsters, which I think is fairly cool. You know, that's like an extra way of scoring victory points. Then you've got Seismic Shift, which is quite an interesting one. So it says at the start of the 3rd battle round, after players roll off to determine who has the first turn, the player taking the 2nd turn can pick 1 objective on the battlefield and remove it from play. So
Where they gone?
Yeah, I mean, like taking an objective off the table, but it's who takes the 2nd turn. So that's going to make that choice quite interesting. Some of the scenarios,
even more interesting.
Some of the scenarios don't. They say that rule's not used because of the nature of the mission, because some don't have many objectives and things like that. So, but it's in play in a lot of them, so it's quite an interesting turn. That 3rd battle round turn is quite important. There's also the Realm Sphere Magic. So you have this Metamorphosis. Is a spell on a 5, range of 12. Pick a friendly hero that's not a monster. Within range, the hero gains the monster keyword. So that would give you access to Monstrous Rampage. Obviously, if you got killed, you would count as a victory point for your opponent. And it allows you to, some missions need monsters score. So it's like it allows you to get a monster in your army without having one, if that makes sense.
And if that person dies at that point, then you get an extra point.
Yeah, because it lasts till your next hero phase. So if he dies in that battle round, you would give your opponent a point. Yeah, for sure. So then you've got Realm Command. So you can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. The unit that receives it must be a monster. To the end of the phase, you look up the value on the unit's damage table. It is treated as if it suffered 0 wounds. So
nice.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Fairly confound the game now.
Yeah, it's quite a nice ability because, sometimes you just want to be at your max potential. You could almost go somewhere else, get hurt, and then still be at your max potential. It does cost you a command point, but
exactly.
Everyone's got access to it. So
really
good
glory.
for Sons of Behemoth.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, for sure. What question? Like slain? Does that just mean dead by any means?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's defined.
Cool. So even if you miscast them, even if you miscast and blow yourself up, you could.
Well, you take mortals, don't you? So it would kill you. So you're still slain. So
yeah.
There's also some new core battalions. So you can only have one of these. Hunters in the Heartlands is one, or of the Heartlands is one that I use a lot. So you got the Alpha Beast pack, which is just 2 to 3 monsters. After armies been set up, it's good, isn't it? Alpha Beast. You can make a normal move up to D6 inches with each unit in the battalion, so it gives you like a pre-game move. So it's quite good if you want to be aggressive. It's quite good for Sons of Behemoth. And then you've got Hunters of the Heartlands. So units of this battalion cannot be picked when your opponent carries out the Monstrous Rampage. So they're just units. So I quite often put my combat units into that formation because it means they can't be roared on or stopped.
Yeah.
So
I think that you could easily overlook that one, couldn't you? And that's a joke to fit into every army in the game. Yeah. Almost. 90% of the armies in the game can take that.
It works really good. So it's perfect. So grand strategies. So the grand strategies we covered from the core rulebook. These, if you're playing this battle pack, you have to use these. So these are ones that go onto your army list, and then you score at the end of the battle is probably like 3 points. So basically, you've got Sever the Head. So no heroes for your opponent's starting army in the battlefield. Hold the Line. These are the ones that's what's actually in it. So complete this grand strategy if there are any battle line units from your starting army on the battlefield. Vendetta. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if the model chosen to be your opponent's general has been slain and the model chosen to be your general has not been slain. Dominating Presence. If there are more units from your starting army on the battlefield than there are units from your opponent's starting army. So that could be quite an easy one if you've got a very high unit count army. and you're playing against smaller armies. Beastmaster. You complete this grand strategy if there are any monsters from your starting army on the battlefield. Again, quite good for Sons of Behemat. Prize Sorcery. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if there are any wizards from your starting army on the battlefield. Not so good for Sons of Behemat. Pillars of Belief. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if there are any priests from your starting army on the battlefield. Predator's Domain. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if you control more terrain features than your opponent. There's some rules for controlling terrain, so it's pretty good. Yeah, and
they're fairly forgiving, I would say. There are a couple in the last ones that I thought were probably harder than these. How do you feel about them in comparison?
Well, these aren't the ones you do per turn. These are the ones you do for your army, so they're a bit more generic. So like Hold the Line is one I use a lot, generally because I'm playing armies with, like, when I'm playing my slaves army, I've got like a big unit of warriors, I've got some knights, they're quite resilient battle line. So that's pretty good. If you're, I mean, like, it's nice if you've got a lot of wizards or priests. It's really good. So I think Luminef really like the wizard one, because it's keyword bold. So it's pretty good.
Quarters of your army.
Yeah, I think it's so. So this is, you score 3 basically VPs at the end of the game if you complete these in most of the scenarios. I think all of them actually. Then your battle tactics, which is what these are really cool for, these like little tokens, because you get to put that in front of you and say, right, that's the one I'm using. And those battle tactics are once per game in your hero phase. You pick one, and you can't use them more than once in each game. So basically, like, you've got to do one a turn, and they actually equate to like 2 points in the turn. So there's quite a hefty amount of points on these, so they're quite important. They're a bit like hidden agendas when people were playing them like objectives, but I think they're really strong. In terms of winning the game, you could have less objectives than your opponent, do your battle tactic, your grand strategy, kill a couple monsters, they don't get their battle tactics or strategies, and you could end up winning the game even though they scored more victory points on objectives, if that makes sense. So it's, sometimes you can make, with your army selection, you can say that actually I can kind of give up the fact that I'm not going to be very good at scoring, because I can score these easier. So you can play that way. If that makes sense, Byron. You're getting distracted.
Yeah, I'm trying to answer the chat at the same time.
Oh, sorry. I'll just keep talking then. I didn't know if you were. I'm just.
It's all good. Yeah,
going a bit mental.
Plenty of people asking when you pick grand strategies, and if they're known before the game, they go on your roster, guys. So when you're
on your
list,
army list. So if you go into a tournament, it'll be on there before you turn up at the event, basically. So yes, you know what they are, and you can't change them between games at a tournament if they're playing this pack. So people who kind of come to FACEHAMMER GT will be running this basically as is. So you'll be going, you can't change it once you've submitted your army list.
Yeah. We'll produce plenty of content on making this stuff as easy as possible for people, whether it's their first game ever or their 50th game, because it's all new to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, the idea that what we do on this channel with the videos we've been releasing this week is kind of trying to like explain stuff that, but obviously, like with these live shows, people are here for a reason. They want to see the points. So we'll get there. But I will do some follow-up videos on this, because especially the scenarios, I've got some ideas for that. Anywho, battle tactics. So that's the start of your hero phase, and you've got to basically do it in that turn. So you've got to do it. So you can say at the beginning of your turn, you go, I'm going to do this turn, have your turn, and if at the end of the turn you don't do it, you haven't achieved it. So it's your opponent knows what it is. It's open information. It's a really cool mechanic. I've played quite a lot of games of free, and it's really it's one of the most interesting things, because it's the same
to manage.
It's like when you used to play events and you had agendas, but you had to burn them on games. But this is like doing it in turns in every game, so it's almost like microed it down. So it's quite
exactly.
Quite good.
You could also bully someone and affect their decisions by picking a particular one. You could pick one that you know you can't do, but you think that will change the flow of the battle in a certain direction. That'll be better for you for the next 4 turns or something. If you want to get really, really techie with it, so
it means as well, like
just another level.
This mitigates the one drop a little bit because, like, do you know, people go, "Oh, I'll give you the first turn because I want to do this." Then you can pick one of these objectives. It's very hard to score when they've already on the objective. So, like, aggressive expansion, reveal this battle tactic, pick 2 objectives on the battlefield that are not wholly within your territory. So anything on the edges would count on lines or not in your territory. You complete this battle tactic, you control both objective markers at the end of the turn. If they've given you the first turn because they want to go for the double, there's nobody contesting those middle of the table objectives. You go, well, I'm going to do that one, push your battle line units up or whatever to capture them. You've now scored that one that's actually quite hard to score as the game goes on, especially if you remove with seismic shift an objective. That means that you'll have less time. The longer the game goes on, the harder that is, if that makes sense, unless you're like smashing them. But so it's really important. I'm not going to like read through all these because they're on the screen. You can read them yourself. But basically, the idea is that the tactics is the choice of first turn or second turn is big because if you know that you're going to be able to score that easily, it's like, well, I'll just do that one then. So it's like the ferocious advance, for example, as well. Like, pick 3 different units from your starting army, complete this tactic of all units that you picked run in the movement phase, and finish that run within 3 of each other. If all 3 are monsters, score an additional points. If you're playing like Avangori or Gristlegore, Terragos, you're gonna go and run and charge. You're gonna be aggressive. You're gonna be running anyway, so or even Suns, if your Suns are going, well, I'm going to run onto the middle of the board anyway, so I might as well run and try and stay within 3 of each other. Then you can score that one, you get an extra point as well. So it's like, you don't even have to run towards them, you could run backwards if you really wanted to later in the game. So again, that's pretty cool. So it's they're all very useful, but I'll probably do a separate show going through these because there's so many like tactics you can play depending on your army, depending on the battle tactics. It makes a big choice, but there's more than 5 and you're only going to pick 5 in a game, right? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a more patient game, I think. Generally, I'd say that is, games are probably going to be faster once people have got to grips with it, but it does feel like you're going to be rewarded for not spaffing your load on the first turn, like 15 units straight in your opponent's face. I think waiting and biding your time and planning ahead are going to be rewarded more in this version of the game by far.
Yeah. So you've also got a scoring sheet. This is quite cool. So this is kind of like you would use during an event. And these are like, it's quite a nice format. You can photocopy that and use it as in the tournament to get results in. Nice way to track what tactic you used, if you did it, number of objectives, how many points you got, what the total is. You notice there's no kill points because you don't need it. No, Gabe, you just pick from this one. So this is, if you're playing this battle pack, everything comes out of this battle pack. There's no like cross book referencing. So basically the ones at the back of the General's Handbook, if you play that battle pack, which is actually quite a good way to get into free if you're struggling with the rules, then you can play those and they just use those. But if you're playing this, you don't have access to those battle tactics. So it's whichever pack you've got. Although the play tester's all over it. Thanks very much, guys. So there's also a bit in here about painting. So I guess this is for like GW events. Which basically just says like what the standard is for painting. It talks about battle ready and the contrast method. So it just gives people a bit of guidance about painting their armies ready. So Ben, I don't know if that will be available as a printable PDF. You got permission to photocopy it, but I guess they will probably give that asset out. So I think they would do it. And one of the things I really like about the General's Handbook is that it's all, if you're a TO and you don't really know how to write a rules pack, you could just say we're going to play the handbook, and it's all there. Even the painting rules in there, it's all there. So, Thomasburg, yes, you can use the battalions from the core book. Yeah, and the ones in here, they're in addition. So the tokens, I've got a picture of them, so you can see the battle tactics. Hopefully, a little bit more clearer. I'm sorry, the print's very small, but it is quite an A5 book, so it is quite hard to photograph it. But these are the tokens.
You can go back and watch this later on a larger screen if anyone's on a phone now.
Yeah,
this isn't going anywhere.
No, exactly. And then so you've got the objective markers that got two-sided, and you've got the sort of the battle tactics. So
Keep those potato picks. Yes.
yeah. So that's probably everything in the book, right? We don't need to cover anything else, do we? That's it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I think someone wanted to know how many points a Wildwood Ranger was. I think that was the only other question we've been asked, right?
Yeah, I think we said points, so we're going to do 2 units. That's Wildwood Rangers and no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Fellbats.
Fellbats, yeah, Fellbats are still 75 points, right? We've covered that. Are they? I'm not going to look. So
Yeah.
there are changes to endless spells. Now I know everyone wants to get onto points, but should we do that first or should we go to points?
Yeah, can I ask one of the questions from the chat
Yes.
first? The spell in a bottle for KO, I presume that is usable in the same way, or is that too specific a question?
I don't think it matters. I mean, obviously, like there's going to be FAQs coming out, but it still functions. You still pick an endless spell, right? So I don't see why. I don't know. Maybe because there's that faction thing. So maybe it's like it's not in. They don't have a faction, but it's a bit of a weird artifact. So I would say just wait for the FAQ. Because that's a very specific thing that the handbook doesn't answer those sort of questions.
Is my volume loud, or is it just Joe Cox who is being assaulted by my voice on maximum volume?
Are you too loud?
Only one person saying it. Several people are saying it's okay, and he's copy and pasting it.
I'll turn you down.
Other people seem to think it's fine. Let us know in the chat, guys, if it's
anything like that, because we are live. I'm just trying to do it. Okay, so should we do Endless Spells?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, we're doing Endless Spells. Sorry, guys.
Dad doesn't want points, and he was so helpful in the last video. Maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
So
no, let's go. Let's go.
We won't be long. So this is actually quite important, though, right? Because this is in the battle pack. It says this page basically says like what is legal. Okay. So it says the battle tomes that are legal. Okay. So, and the expansion. So it's the Broken Realms, Wrath of the Everchosen are all there. Other publications, Compendium Monsters Arcanum, excluding Warhammer Legends. So, Monster Arcanum are there, but yeah, but it's the Forge World stuff, basically. We've got all the battle tomes, and it talks about erratas. So they say periodically we release rules to errata documents for our publication that correct any errors. These include things like outright mistakes. So people who think they're an evil empire that never admit mistakes, there it is. It's in their own book. They've said we make mistakes. Yes, we're all human. Things that didn't work as they intended to, unforeseen, undesirable impact on the current gaming meta. So sometimes they are errata because of the meta. The errata in these are considered to be part of the publications that they are correcting, and so we don't list them separately. Consequently, any rules errata publication that are legal in a given pitch battle season are, by extension, also legal. So it's basically. But
they are still keeping skinks in the game. Interesting.
Yeah, and pink horrors. So, so endless spells. So we've got new rules for all the endless spells. So that's the forbidden power and the malign sorcery ones. So essentially, you've got a new war scroll card for each one. So they have changed quite a lot. Okay. So some might be more useful than others now. So in terms of the Horrorghast, it's on a 6. It's predatory. So it's got this rule: units wholly within 12 cannot receive commands in the battle shock phase. In addition, if a unit fails a battle shock test within 12, add D3 to the numbers that flee. So Horrorghast is really, really good if you want to battle shock people. Pretty good.
Or destruction.
I'm sorry, guys. We got to.
Finally, I'm putting my brutes on the table.
Oh no, take them off. So the pendulum, it's on a 5. This one's changed a bit as well. So like, you pivot when you set it up, and it basically, and that's how it moves. So pendulum can't. Although it's predatory, you can't move it round. It always goes in a straight line. So it's actually harder to aim now. And then after it's moved, roll a dice for each unit as the models it passed across. or any other unit within 1. On a 2+, it takes D3, so that's a bit nerfed a little bit. Chronomatic cogs has also been changed, which was on the Warhammer community site, so we won't go through that one. You can check that on Warcom if you want to see it.
TLDR, add 1 to charge rolls for units wholly within 18 of the spell. Just charge. So
and
only
all wizards get
charging.
to cast an extra spell, I think, within 6 if you slow it down. So.
Yep.
And Emerald Life Swarm. So it's after the spell is set up and after it's moved, the commanding player can pick a unit within 1, healed up to D3 wounds, or if no wounds are allocated, they can return a number of slain models that have a wound characteristic of D3 or less. So Emerald Life Swarm is actually amazing.
Or
do you mean points?
Did this go up or down in stock because you've got another way to do it?
I think it's gone up.
Do you think being able to do it twice? Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Because like you've got heroic action, but you've also got rally.
Yeah.
But it's controlled, right? So if your wizard casts this, it can follow your wizard around. It can also impact the units around him. So you're not. It's in Sylvaneth, like an ancient with an Emerald Life Swarm around his feet is amazing. So it's really good.
Just more to buff those little heroes as well.
Yeah.
We had that commonly stated in the last one is like the stock of low wound heroes, especially if they're slightly more resilient, like they've got a 4-up or an after save or they ignore rend or anything like that. All of this stuff just goes to help them better because if they go down to 1 wound, they could well be on average gaining 4 wounds if you've got 2 ways available to you. So pretty cool.
Yeah. And the good thing about the cogs as well is a good point from Steve is that with the enhancement, when you get an extra spell from the spell lore, if you drop the cogs, you get to cast 2 spells, so you could use both spells as well. So you could make a list around that.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Geminids. So this was always a popular one. Cast on 6, range of 9, and then they have to be within 6 of each other, and they can move up to 8. So it's a bit shorter range. I think it used to be 18. And after it's moved, roll a dice for each model that has any models pass across, and for each other unit within 1. On a 2+, it takes 1 mortal wound. In addition, it's 1 mortal wound caused by this ability is allocated to a unit. The unit cannot issue or receive commands until the start of the next combat phase.
Oh, very different.
So, very strong because you can shut down command abilities. So
yeah, and it'll just follow you around as well. You know, this is just taking your buffs with you, or debuffs rather.
It's quite a dangerous spell because it's.
Yes, Tom Maudsley doesn't have to put it in the bin names. That was his default, wasn't it? It's still pretty good.
Not quite -1 attack, -1 to hit, but it's still very good.
No.
The Maelstrom. So it's on a 5, range of 6. It can move 8 and can fly. So when in the spell set up, place a d6. Each time a spell is successfully cast by a unit within 12 and not unbound after the effects of the spell, increase the value. Each time a model is slain within 12, increase the value to maximum 6. At the end of the combat phase, if this end of spells on the battlefield, roll a dice, add the value of the dice besides it. On a 10+, each unit within 12 suffers D3 mortal wounds, and then this spell's removed. So it's quite an interesting spell because you can almost power it up with your own casting and then chuck it into an area of the board you don't really want to be near much.
Lumineth, right?
Yeah, it's good if you've got a big unit, like you've got a horde unit, like a big double reinforced unit on an objective, like Chaos Warriors that have got a mortal wound save anyway. That you're like, well, I'll cast my spells, push my Maelstrom with my Chaos Warriors. If they want to put multiple units in to kill it, they're probably going to kill a couple models, which will then trigger the effect, blow up, and do mortals to them. So it's a really good deterrent. So it's really quite good for that.
That's solid. I think Chaos Warriors rune shields have only gone up in stock with AOS 3.
Rune shields are good. Yeah. So
Palisade.
Then you've got the Palisade. So it's basically on a 5, range of 6. Set up wholly within range. The visibility between 2 models is blocked if a straight line is drawn between the closest point of the 2 models and it crosses the end of spell, so it blocks line of sight. So pretty useful. It's good against anti-shooting. In terms of empowered effect, I don't know, guys. I'm just reading what I've got in front of me, so I guess there will be an FAQ, so we'll see what happens. Because they used to have an effect if they were in a realm, but obviously this whole battle pack is in the realm of beasts, so you're only ever going to be in the realm of beasts. So.
Monster life.
Exactly. The Purple Sun of Shaiish, so everyone's favourite. So it's cast on an 8. It's quite hard to get it out. Range of a 6, so quite short range. It can move 8. And it says at the end of the hero phase, before determined control, roll a dice for this end of spell. On a 5 up, the end of spell becomes wild. Oh my god. After this end of spell has moved, roll a dice for each unit that has any models it passed across, and for each other unit that is within 1 of it at the end of its move. On a 1, nothing happens. 2 to 5, D3. On a 6, it takes D6. So Purple Sun's a little bit dangerous, which I quite like. It's quite fun.
Yeah, it should be, shouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite short range.
Yeah, I think because they stay under control, you almost need to set them up early and then take them in to where they need to be.
It's the patient edition, isn't it? I'm going to have to be live, I think, at the table.
That's all you'll talk about aggro in. It's like, so Quicksilver Swords.
I'm still going to put cabbages on the table.
Yeah, well, I am too. It's cast on a 6, range of 6. Again, moves 8. It's got after the end of spells moves, the commanding player pick a unit that's any models passed across, roll 12 dice. For each 6, they take a mortal wound. In addition, ward rolls cannot be made for wounds caused by this ability.
So range has changed, otherwise the same, except for ignoring wards, which is pretty cool.
It doesn't do 5 upon chaos anymore, which it used to. So
yeah, it's that's pretty decent against small characters with aftersaves. Actually, that's genuinely worrying if you've got 6 wounds or 5 wounds and you've got a 4 up. That's quite a sneaky spell. I like that.
Yeah, and we've got Ravnak's Crushing Jaws. So on a 6, range of 6, can fly, moves 3d6, so a bit random on its move. After it's moved, the commanding player picks 1 unit, has any models passed across, and roll a number of dice equal to the roll that was made for the move. For each 6, they take a mortal wound. So your pack command spell.
You can target your own unit still, right?
Believe so. It says after this move, for command player, 1 unit has any models. So yeah, there's no restriction on that. Because it's just the spell doesn't say enemy. So
yeah,
I mean, obviously it's in your control, so you might want to do that if you want to kill a model to get yourself into coherency or something random like that.
Yeah, I've been trying to work out how to do that.
We're getting to the points, guys. Sorry. So Soul Snare Shackles, the endless spell summoned on a 7. You can set up the parts of the endless spell wholly within 3 of each other and wholly within range of the caster. So it says units within 6 cannot run or charge. In addition, at the start of the movement phase, roll a dice for each unit within 6. On a 6, they take D3 mortal wounds. So that's pretty strong. That's a pretty strong, right? So just units within 6 doesn't mean. So you can basically put them down and have like a no charge zone. So it's quite good if you if someone said to you like, "Oh, you go first," and they want to do like drop shenanigans or something, you can literally put the shackles out and like stop
you as well.
Yeah, it does. But if you've got a shooting army, you don't really want to charge, do you?
Oh yeah, exactly. Just
and if you're on the objective
over there and
you're like, well, I don't really want to fight. I just want to stand here. So
that's super powerful. I'd be putting it to my side, so I only have to think about 2/3 of the table. That looks really good.
Yeah, it's really strong actually.
That's a winner, isn't it? That is a real winner for board control. That is nuts. Anyone who's played with debuffing armies like the Chaos, what was it? It was the Khorne Demon Prince that you were taking. Like, that's a powerful ability.
Yeah, they are. It is a little small area, but yeah, it's good. Suffocating Gravetide. So after the end of the spell has moved, so it's basically on a 6, range of 6, moves 8, very similar to most other spells. After the spell is moved, for each unit has any models passed across, roll a number of dice equal to the number of models in that unit. For each 6, they take a mortal wound. So still not particularly brilliant, to be honest. Burning Head. Again, it's on a 7, within 6, moves 8. It's a bit of a pattern here. Flaming Skull, after it's moved, if any units are within 1 of it, roll a dice for each unit within 1 of the end of spell. On a 2+, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, then the end of spell is removed from play. So it's like a little shot. So,
I think I'm correct in saying that chat seems to think that Shackles is the best one so far.
Yeah, it's good, right?
Shackles in a bottle. Yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
shackles in a bottle would be horrendous.
Yeah.
Umbral
All for
spell
KO.
portal. We just got to hope they
Yeah,
FAQ that bottle, wouldn't we? So Umbral
we'll
spell
see.
portal. I'm just teasing people now. It's on a 5, a range of 18. It says set up the parts of the wholly within range of the caster. And then it says once per turn, if a wizard successfully casts a spell within one of the end of the spell, the range, visibility, and effect can be measured from this end of the spell instead of the caster. In addition, once per turn, when a predatory end of spell within 6 is moved, the commanding player that predatory end of spell can move it for the battlefield, set up within 6 at the other part of this end of spell. A predatory end of spell set up in this manner does not count as having been moved, but it cannot be picked to move again in the same phase. So it's like you
I thought
put
that
it.
would get dialed back more. That's
Nah,
still
basically the
that's
same.
still very good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's still like 1+ in multiple armies, which I thought maybe they'd
Yeah.
make, Teclis still wants this, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think it's a good point from War Machine. It says it's interesting they're in the GHB and not the core rules, so they could be updated. So obviously, like the it's themed around the realm, so we're in the realm of beasts. So it's quite a nice lever to pull if it's like actually we're going to go to the realm of Shaiish, and you could power up all the Shaiish spells. So I
Yeah.
think it's quite cool. It means you don't have to. You've got like these weird like malign sorcery set coming out over multiple editions.
Yeah.
So you don't end up being like, what they call Dogs of War, whatever it was, that seemed to get dragged through 3 editions of Warhammer. So then you've got
He's a Sigmar.
so don't bin bag. No. Soul Screen Bridge. Summoning is a value of 6, range of 18. Set up the parts in the spell wholly within range of the caster. Deathly Passage. Start the movement phase. The player's turn is taking place can remove 1 friendly unit wholly within 6, so a part of this end spell, and set it up wholly within 6 of the other part of this end spell, and more than 9 from enemy units. A unit cannot be moved and set up again in this way more than once per phase. A unit removed and set up again cannot make a normal move or run in the same phase. So pretty good that you can basically. What's quite useful about this is the caster who casts it. It's 18 of the caster for both parts. So you could have your caster in the middle, and you could put a part there, if I get it on camera, and a part all the way over here, as long as they're both wholly within 18. So you don't have to put it next to the wizard who casts it. So it's quite good for that.
That's.
It's
They are
the portal.
They are the two. They are the two that I was expecting to be dialed back the most, actually, and they don't feel like they have been nearly as much as I was expecting. So that's kind of interesting.
You've only got 1 unit for the bridge. I think before it was everything, because I seem to remember Maudsley teleporting his entire army around the table with it.
It was everything. I did it as well. That's I still think they've. Yeah, absolutely. I was not expecting that. So they're still both very good, and your big casters, I think, are probably frequently going to take a spell portal with them, unless it's 1,000,000 points, which I guess we'll find out.
Shards of Valagar, so 2 parts. Cast on a 5, range of 18. Set up the parts of the end spell wholly within 12 of each other and wholly within range. Is predatory. To move this, remove 1 of the parts of the battlefield and set up wholly within 12 of its other parts. So they kind of like teleport round like that. So you always move 1 of them. After it's moved, draw a line between the closest points of each part of this spell. Each unit that has any models passed across is ensnared half the move of the unit that was ensnared. In addition, they cannot fly. So again, that's pretty strong.
Yeah,
I really like the shards. They're I think they're a really good spell.
Yeah.
So, and we've got
Daniel, be patient.
We've got Lunchbox, the Soul Seeker. I'm going to slow down now. No, I'm kidding. So the end of spell is summoned with a cast on a 6 and a range of 6. Set the end of spell wholly within range of the caster. The spell is predatory, can move 18 and can fly. So it's quite a big move. Before the commanding player moves this spell, they can pick 1 friendly wizard wholly within 3. Remove that wizard from the battlefield. After the spell is moved, set that wizard up wholly again within 3. This is wholly within 3. So you'd have to have a small base. You couldn't do it with Nagash.
Yeah, you would. No, you couldn't.
It says
that's like 8 wounds or less
9
on average.
Yeah, then the wizard takes a mortal wound, and he can't move. So you could basically boat your wizard around, which is still useful. If you've got a slow moving
3
wizard,
inches is 76 millimeters. just to get well nerdy about that.
So I think that's the that's pretty useful, because like if you've got a slow moving wizard, you might want to get it up the table to where your units are if you've got a fast army, because I know that like Deepkin, for example, they've got quite a few slow, like the Tidecaster. You could get your Tidecaster up with your eels. Not that anyone takes anything but eels, but you know, I could do some points on these now. So points for the spells. There you go. Everyone wants points, right? And the spells. So here are the points. So you've got the Aether Void Pendulum at 65, Burning Head at 20, Cogs 45, so that's dropped quite a bit, that's quite good. Swarm is 60, Geminids at 80, Horror Gas 65, the Soul Seeker 55, Maelstrom 65, Palisade 40, Purple Sun 70, Quicksilver Swords 90, which seems expensive. The Jaws at 55.
That's 60 points max, yeah.
The Soul Share Snackles 65, Shards 70, Soul Scream 70, Gravetide 50, Spell Portal 70. So the Spell Portal's the same points, right? So I think like they're all under 100, so which is quite nice. They I
think, yeah, Bridge and Portal squeaks through at a very high power level at an acceptable amount of points, and I think they're going to be in a lot of lists.
I like Horrorghast, Shards, and Soul Snare Shackles a lot because the disruption. It's very, like, to use your term, blue-black knobhead for Magic.
It is absolutely blue-black knobhead.
Stop. So, yeah, pretty cool. So,
I agree, Froggy. Spell Portal got off lightly, and Bridge, which I think is better for certain builds, also got off lightly, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with the points. Obviously, Order was the top voted, I believe.
Surprise. Most scrolls in the world.
So obviously, Nagash being the biggest champion of Order, wanting to bring everyone to the realms in a state of death, we're going to start with Nagash because obviously he's the king of Order. No, I'm kidding.
So before we get to this, because I've not seen these, historically, I think Order have got off the softest in terms of points. Let's see. I can't upset people by saying that I played them. Get over it. Let's see if that's the case.
You are Brian Order, so
yeah.
I should change your tag, shouldn't I? So there are battle plans, Jack. I'll do them afterwards. Okay. Everyone's screaming for points. I'm gonna get like lynched if I don't do the points now, right? Let's do battle plans now. No. So I will do a separate video on the battle plans. So this tells you about how the profiles work. See, like I'm teasing still with a holder. Okay, so Cities of Sigmar. There's a lot of talk. I'll just talk about something a bit general to start off with. Okay, so there's obviously a lot of people concerned about reinforcement points. So a lot of people saying like, oh, my army doesn't work now, my minimum size, stuff like that. So minimum sizes have been changed up to a lot of units to allow the reinforcements not to break armies. Okay. What I will find as well is that your battle line are the only ones that can be reinforced twice. So armies that basically, we're not doing a line by line, Tom. Not especially not on Cities of Sigmar. I've got no idea. So army units that can be battle line if can be basically reinforced twice if they're a battle line. So anything that makes a elite unit battle line if becomes very strong. Example is White King with Graveguard. So Graveguard can go up to 30, whereas without a White King general, you can go up to 20. So it's going to naturally force your list design if you want a certain unit to max size. What I found,
so I could get really excited about the Lord of Pain then with his elite Slaanesh troops. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
silence.
You can.
Okay.
You could get big. You could have a big reinforced unit of them for sure. So there's no max sizes, is what I'm saying. There's no horde discount, right? So you can see that all the unit sizes in here. I'm not going to read all these out because we're going to be here forever. But the points, obviously, you can go back and watch this on the big screen and look at it if you're really interested.
We'll have to read out the bottom two because the banner's covering them. So, we're solid.
No one takes Demigriffs or Dark Riders, right? So it's fine. It's just there's so many. Look at it. It's crazy. So
All right, so
basically,
people can let us know the ones they think look like they've got away with the most or have been particularly good. Frost Hearts have dropped, as have Flame Spires, probably because no one was taking them in any armies. So that's kind of nice.
yeah, I think the behemoths generally have gone up over most stuff. But I don't know, Gabe, which ones have changed. I think they've all changed. Like generally everything in the game has gone up. Like everything's had a small
Hint, guys, if it
increase.
ends in a 5, it's changed.
Especially shooting units have got a bigger increase than non-shooting units. A lot of people were talking about our shooting units. You know, are they're so good, and it's their points have been adjusted more. Cities is a bit unusual because their monsters have seemed to come down, whereas most people monsters have gone up, and I think that was just because of the balance of those. There is another page for them, so there you go. Here's the second page of Cities of Sigmar. I'm sorry, I'm sorry if you care about cities. It's to me, it's like the old world in a big bag for me. So it's fine, but you can look at them. So you've got the points there.
Not a huge amount of variance for quite a lot of things, I think, actually.
No, I mean they
like a reshuffling more than graphic movement in one direction or the other, with a few notable ones
there's not been like
stand out.
It's been really difficult as well, like because so much changed. It's because so much has changed, right? It's very hard to balance points when the game has changed. So much has changed all at once. So we tried. Let's put it that way. So you've got your allies pool as well, and there's also Go Trek down the bottom is 435, and he's got his order thing that he could be basically taken as an ally, and he doesn't count.
Wild Riders went down.
Cavalry are a bit weird. So some cavalry unit have gone down, but actually because of the coherency rules and size of 5 units and that, they're actually really good. So
yeah, I think that's my top. Any semi-elite or specialist cavalry, I think particularly is going to be, they'll scoot through and they'll feel very unchanged on the table and less restricted.
Yeah, so that's cities. Sorry, Daughters of Cain. I could talk about this one because it's actually something I've actually spent some time on. So obviously, the biggest increase is probably Morgreth the Blooded and the Blade Coven, not 80 points. Shock horror, who saw that coming? Marathi is 660, which is still a bargain in my opinion.
That is an absolute steal. That is ridiculous. She was great. She is great. That is that feels like 1+ to me.
And you can see what I was talking about with the increases, like Blood Stalkers have gone up like 30 odd points, whereas Blood Sisters kind of stayed the same. Again, they're battle line so if they were battle line, you could have 15s, but otherwise you can have 10s. Canary is still a really good option. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say the extra range with changes to coherency is something that people should bear in mind when they're looking at the points for these, and hopefully it's been taken into account because something's got a 2-inch reach and a tiny base and can attack in 3 ranks. That is a real bonus now, given the coherency changes. Plus, you could run up in a block and still.
Plus, the 6-inch pile-in is big, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, completely.
I mean, it gets around like Unleash Hell and stuff like that. It's very strong.
Yeah.
So Daughters, I think, have come out quite well because
that's a surprise.
What's that? They come out well. Oh yeah,
Daughters coming out well. Marat, like in a Ghur-based battle pack where monsters are good, Marathi seems to be a extremely solid option for pretty much anyone. I think Sisters on the table, probably it will make sense why their points went up as well, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty good. I think Daughters super solid. Fire Slayers. Not massively exciting here. Not massive increases either. They've just kind of got a little bit of a creep up for the edition. Again, they're not an army that I play, but I know it looks like a lot of increases. But when you write lists, it doesn't make a huge difference because you don't take battalions anymore. So
you're also not going to be taking like 3 units of 20 dudes or units of 30, and
everyone's in the same boat, right? So everyone's got the same increases, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
all of this, hold in mind, guys, you're probably likely to see a maximum of 2 large units on the table and frequently 1. Like, So you're going to find points from somewhere because you're not spamming the same stuff more and more. So that might open up 250 points or something in comparison to old lists, especially Fire Slayers with your 30 blocks.
Yeah. IDNF. So interesting, like Thralls didn't really go up because obviously they were really popular. The Leviathan at 380, I think, is a steal actually for what it does.
Yeah, he
Killing
affects a
King,
lot
I
of
think,
board
stayed the
space.
same. The Idol aspect of the sea is quite expensive. Aspect of Storm, I think, is better and cheaper, but I like the combat one. So what do I say?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean they're pretty good. Eels is probably the thing that people care about. 195 for free.
So it
And
used to be 140 and
180.
160. It's like
180, I
Wow,
think,
okay.
and 140, I think, for Ishlin. I think might be 190. I'm not sure. Something around that. However
Yeah.
many you have like 18 in your army, it's probably that. So Reavers are still quite cheap, 115, despite being a shooting unit. So I think like a big unit of Reavers for Unleash Hell as a counter shot might be quite useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Stand and shoot changes. Any short range shooting unit, because of the stand and shoot option, Unleash Hell, that completely changes how much they can affect a game. So
Yeah,
got to be held in mind when people are considering them. Even if it's a range 6 weapon, you're going to get to shoot it, essentially.
KO. They're in alphabetical order, so that you'll know when they're coming up. So KO, I think, got off quite nicely. They didn't get many increases. Like the Chemist didn't really go up. You had a couple increases on things like, I mean, Engine Riggers went up 20, I think, and then the Gun Hauler is still quite cheap. I think the Ironclad went up like 10. I think it was 480. So pretty good. Skywardens went up 15, I think. Obviously, most people would running like in KO. You were taking a lot of formations as well. So
yeah,
I think they've come out quite nicely.
Going to be larger amounts of people on the table.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably.
Like it's difficult to know because like you used to take lots of like because you were trying to make them fit. You'd bubble up your engine riggers, like have like 9s or 6s. Still take 6, but if they're battle line, if you've got an engine muster, you can still take 9. So it's just that you've got an extra 60 points. So
how do you feel about the Ironclad still being that much? That's still a quarter of an army, isn't it?
It's very good. It's very good with the new book. Yeah, before it was overpriced. I think it's good. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things. So
yeah, and then obviously those characters who have the ability to make things battle line, they've gone up in stock as a force multiplier, haven't they? Really.
So Lumineth, obviously everyone's favourite. So Teclis is 740 points. So pretty big increase. I think it was 660 before.
Fair. Yeah, how do you feel about that? He's insane, isn't he? He disregards the majority of the new rules about magic because of his.
I think the problem is that I really don't like Teclis, so I'd rather he was 800 points. But that's me. So he doesn't do it for me. Like, I'm not.
I move in the right direction.
He upset my man. So but I'm not. I'm a minority, so it's not my fault. He's very strong, I think. So obviously he's a monstrous hero. You've got all those benefits. Magic is very strong because he's just so many good abilities with endless spells and things like that. So Wardens, I think, got up 5. I think the Spirit of the Mountain went up a little bit. A lot of the heroes didn't really touch a lot. Light of a Pharaoh is 250. Still don't understand.
Foxy your man, how did he fare?
What, Severith? I think he went up 30 odd points or 40 points. He's 345 now. I can't remember what he was before. I think he's like I think he was 300 something like that. So
I think it was 300 and 250 respectively for the named and non-named ones. So
a lot of the characters have like things like Avalonor's gone up quite a lot, but they are monstrous heroes, so they're getting a double whammy on the rules, right? So Sentinels are 150, so still a bargain, right?
All right.
Sentinels.
Yeah.
But Dawn Riders didn't go up, and I think cavalry are very strong. So
yes, yeah, Cav are definitely strong.
and Blade Lords are
Look at the
130, which is good. So
Stone Guards. Yeah.
again, 32 mil base, 1-inch reach, I think. So I might be wrong. I might have a 2er. Looking at the model and looking at a Blood Knight, it should have a 1-inch, but there you go.
I'm trying to look at the light of Altharion and work out what that's going to mean for Sigmar.
Yeah. So the thing about C notes, that's because you've got this up the top here where it says you can have them as battle line for each unit. So it's like, it's this thing up here. Seraphon, we do those. I don't know. I've got I did get an insight from one of my mates. So what did I get from? I think from Paul. I think he said that the Saurus on what's it called? The Carnosaur is a good buy. I mean, 270 for a leader behemoth. Scar veteran 215. I think one of those is a good buy. 215 points for a monstrous hero. Can't really go wrong with that. So
slap an amulet of protection on. That's a pretty easy include, isn't it?
Yeah, and Skink's 75 points, so a little bit up, but I think they were 70. They were 60, went up to 70, I think. But yeah,
Croak at 430.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Is the Law Seeker unique? Is the question I'm being asked. I don't know. Let me double check this. Hang on. I'm gonna get showed off now.
75.
Law Seeker? Where is he? Oh yeah, he doesn't have unique anymore. There you go. So multiple Law Seekers. Good spot.
Well, good spot, bad idea.
Byron's like, no.
Good spot, awful idea. That is a dreadful idea, in my opinion.
It's great if you play Doom enough. At least you can remove the objective.
He is so.
Hey, John.
He is so good that if mixed order was still a thing, I'd write a list and start with 4 of him, and I wouldn't care what I put in the rest of it. So that's how good I think he is.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we?
That's a bit dumb, in my opinion. So good.
Stormcast. There's lots of them. there's so many. I mean, Judicate is 150. Libs 95. Quite
down
interesting.
Down by 10. Down by 5.
Yeah. So I think
Yenestra?
Lords and Lords and Lords and Lords. Who are we talking about? Sorry, Yndrasta. She's 300 in here.
Yndrasta.
So single. That's the same as the box set. So
no different there. She is still an absolute steal, and she is probably one of the most underpointed things I've ever seen in Age of Sigmar.
I agree with you. She's so strong.
Completely. It's like, hey, would you like all of Arcan's rules plus some other benefits in a smaller body that benefits from cover and lookout, sir? Has an after save, so effectively has more wounds than he was. And oh, by the way, she hits like Galmaraz. Sure. How many points? Like 380? No. She is absolutely ridiculous. If she isn't included in 50% of Stormcast armies, I would be extremely surprised.
Do you want her or do you want a Prime? Or you could have a Lord Arcanum on Tauralon, or do you want a new Juster?
What's the how many points is a Prime?
3, 2, I'm trying 5?
To look through set.
I got a message off a mate. He had a picture of his Prime half painted. He goes, "Shall I finish painting this?" I was like, "You can if you want. Not to me."
Man, that is. Look at their 2 Warscrolls and then wonder what's up with the world. That genuinely feels like
we're on to page
mistake.
2. I'm gonna have to move on.
Should have been
too many. There's just too many.
Should have been a 4. Should have been a 4, not a 3 at the start, and I'd still take her. Stardrake went up a little bit. Kind of.
Oh, that's a good one actually.
You'd expect
it. 500.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
540 now.
Oh, God, I got my my thing is locked out again. There we go. So what? 540. Yeah, I think it was 500 before. Was it? I think.
Yeah. Kind of. Be expected. If other long range shooting is getting hit. Yeah, if other long range shooting is getting hit hard, then Judicator's going down a little bit. We've not seen them for a while. Maybe they could be slightly more worth it now.
I I think
Although,
I think the long strikes were 180 anyway. I think they went up 5, and I think the hurricanes were 140. They've gone up 10. So I guess
yeah,
like not as big. I mean, to be honest, always think long strikes are really overcosted for what they are. I don't know. I know people are
yeah,
like, oh, you could
me
get
too.
mortals. I'm like, I'd rather get like 18 dice.
Well, particularly with there being less ways to buff things in the game, or you can't put multiple command abilities on them. I think dropping 12 down in front of someone and unleashing hell.
I
Not
apologise for
literally.
the out of focus Sylvaneth picture. It's not intentional to upset anyone. I just noticed it's a potato can picture. I do apologise. So
Well, let's see if Sylvaneth have got themselves into a good spot then, because we spoke about Order getting off lightly. Sylvaneth have not got off lightly for like 2 years. So did anything change here? How do you feel about Sylvaneth in general?
well, Laurie plays them, so no, I'm kidding. Laurie basically said to me that
Oh wow, I've already got some thoughts. That's nuts.
they've had like quite a good buff. So spites are still cheap at 70. That they've got a lot of battleship tests. So I generally think, I mean, Alariel's expensive at 740, but she's very good. I think like
Yeah,
the ancient 295, the Durfu, they've gone up a bit, but Kurnoff Hunters with great bows at 225, but the Scythes at 215, they got the 2-inch reach, so I think they're quite good. 5 wounds as well, count as 2 objectives.
Not hampered by taking them in 6s, because it doesn't, it doesn't hold them back nearly as much. You just take a little wiggly comb. The Revenants still being like that, and Battle Line, I think they were always undervalued. So them still being cheap, while they can pan pipe their way around the table, is pretty tasty. Yeah. Of course. God, a Tree Lord's cheap, just like a vanilla Tree Lord. I know that he's not that good, but still.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to scroll down the bottom of the Stormcast stuff because people are like, can't see stuff. So hopefully that's long enough on the screen for you. So it's a big page. There's a lot on it. Yeah, I think Sylvaneth come out quite well. I think they come out well in the new edition anyway. Like,
I think there's going to be like a summoning or healing list for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, their endless spells are good. They heal. They've got Emerald Glaive Swarm. You've got like 5 wound elite models that can count as 2 on objectives. They've got access to good summoning. Alariel's really good. Their heroes are good. I think you've got all the stuff with Rampage and heroic actions. The cogs makes a big difference because always with Sylvaneth, you're like, I want more than one spell, and now you can with cogs. So I think it's the Tree Lord's good as well. Like someone just said, the vanilla Tree Lord. So he's 190 points for a monster. It's cheap, like really cheap.
Yeah, lol. And if you can keep him alive, not so bad. I just clocked when you scrolled back 45 points for Ether Wings. That's not much of a change. They're still to stop people from standing shooting and stuff like that. Ether Wings, Fellbats, great, and things being as cheap as possible is fine. And 45 points is a steal for something that moves that quick and can interrupt, a unit of 9 Storm Fiends or whatever it is. You will feel like you bought the best bargain in Warhammer the turn that works out.
Yeah. So pretty good. So that's Order. Now this poll was so long ago. I can't remember who was second, but I think it was Destruction.
Could be.
I know Death was last.
Chaos.
It's Chaos or Destruction. So I think we need to do Destruction because it's a Destruction edition, right? So if everyone can remember the order, then everyone would just say what they want, right?
My prediction of the Destruction aggro armies going up in like value, that was based on me knowing what they did and current being previous points. So I wonder if they're going to get hit back down. Destruction have always been fairly pointed, I think, but they've suffered at the hands of things that aren't fairly pointed. So,
everyone's showing Chaos. I think I got it wrong. Sorry, guys. There's only 4 pages. It's fine. We get a do-over. So Destruction, Gloomspite Gits. Some of the minimum sizes. So I think Squig Hoppers used to be 5s. They've gone up to 10. I think I might get that wrong. I think Squig Herds. Some of the minimum sizes have been adjusted. Like Sneaky Snuffers come as a 6. I think they always were a 6. But obviously they need to be battle line to be multiple reinforced. So I do have some notes on these guys.
Just at first glance, the Arachnaroks look like 200 points for an Arachnarok on its own. Not too bad if you're after a monster. 295 for the dude on the back of it as a utility piece. never, it wasn't particularly bad in last edition. I think people just didn't really take it.
I know, Eric. Sorry, I'm gonna get sought after by a cultist or something. Everyone's hating on me now. I'm sorry. I'll stay on there a little bit. I don't know a lot about Gits, to be honest, so I can't give you much about their points. But I've just been told that to look at the min sizes. Glitz players will know more than me.
What reach is a Troggoth? Is it 1 or 2? Because if
Pass.
it's 2, I think there's.
Don't know.
I think they're solid, and if it's 1, then I think they are less solid. Makes a very big difference.
No idea. So I'll go more tribes. So gluttons are 6 min size now. I think that's so you buy 6 of them. So it does mean you can have 18 in a battle line unit if you double reinforce it. So
you want to stand around and not be able to reach over your first 2 ranks.
Yeah, but I think like what people like. Everyone looks at stuff like this. It's the same when Sons of Behemat come out, and they're like, "Oh, their combat profile, they only do X amount of damage." That doesn't matter. Like, you want bodies to stand on objectives and be defensive, and like, so if you can have a unit of 18 gluttons, which I mean, like that's just that's a really hard thing to shift. Yeah, not all going to fight, but who cares? They're there just to stand there, right? I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah, what was a Stonehorn? Because of like 430 is more, but not much more.
Yeah, I think Tom Maudsley told me that he said that Beast Claw have kind of gone up a bit, but it's not too bad. Basically, he said that you can still.
I think they had to. They were so obviously good the moment we read the rules last time. But
I think like the Thundertusk was like 320. I think like the Huskard and Stonehorn at 340 is still a bargain. I think Frostal I think was 400. I might be wrong. It might be 380. It might have been. I can't remember. It was around that. It wasn't much different.
With because they're so crap, Noblar's in a 20 means that you can just have a 2-rank screen for 120 points.
Well, because they're on small bases, you can put them in 1 line of 20. So because when you're touching bases, you're still going to be within an inch of 2 models. Because the base is less than an inch, so you could put a 20 in a line, so there's still quite a good screen.
I think that's a solid option for people to be taking.
So, you do have to pay for reinforced units. You just pay double the more points for them. So, it would be nice if you could just do it for free, right? It's like, just get them for free. So, Auric War Clans. So there are some. You see, this is Auric War Clans. You do have Gut Rippers in here, which are the new Cruel Boys. So there are some Cruel Boy units in here. Savage Orcs. I think there was a lot of rumours going on about the what's the dude called? I always get the War Chanter. It being 100 or 140, he's 120. So in the middle between the two people, between the argument on there. The Mega Boss. 160. You've got the Gnash Tooth 200s in there. You've got the Killer Boss with Stab Grot. So all the box set models are in here. Kragnos is in here 695, which seems like a good buy for what he is.
Obviously doesn't do spells and stuff, does he? So that has to be considered when.
No, he just kills everything.
He also can't stand next to your army because
he's got to stand on his own, like me. He stands alone. He's like the Godsmack story.
Screw souls to their shackles protecting your flank. Just
he comes out the mountain like with his guitar solo. He doesn't want anyone around him. So I think Craggy's cheaper. So but it's cool. Obviously, Mega Boss or More Crusher 495. So pretty hefty price.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's a bit too much. Like I've always thought.
Is he a bit more 460-ish?
I've always thought they were too expensive because I want to run 2. So I mean double cabbage. I don't think
people running 2 Yeah.
I think the problem is because like I know it's so expensive.
What are you thinking? My God.
Well, he's always been pricey, isn't he? So
his command ability affects 3 units instead of 1. So or does currently, whatever it changes.
Does it? I don't know what it does. I remember it used to be a battle.
Maybe that's been considered
a War Scroll battalion. It used to be, but I think it did get changed. I never look at him because I'm just like.
I think the Iron Jaw's ability that's +1 to hit on a unit, he could give to up to 3 units within range. So if that's still similar, then given how much other command abilities have been dialed back, I could see that being a thing because that's proper efficient, isn't it? So maybe he's worth it. I would love him to be worth it. I guess we will see.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see. But I mean, like,
Warlock.
it's pretty good. I mean, you play Bone Splitters, so these must mean more to you than they do to me. But Brutes at 150, that seems pretty good. I think they were 160 before. Have they come down?
Yeah, they have come down. 150.
Gore Grunters 170. Ardboys. Now, Ardboys probably worth talking about, right?
Yeah.
So Ardboys are min size 5. So the maximum you can have in an army is 15 in one unit twice, so 30. So that's the maximum number of Ardboys you can have. Yeah. Because obviously, like, you've only got so many reinforcement points. So I know there is a lot of lists running like 60 of them. So it is what it is, I guess. What I have found with Iron Jaw's list is you don't tend to run many reinforced units other than Ardboys. So some of the lists I've written have got like 2 15s and then like Brutes in min size, Gore Grunters in min size. You might run 1 10 of Brutes and then like 2 10s of Ardboys. It's like you don't really. I don't tend to find it too much of a restriction.
I think a 6 of Gore Grunters.
Okay.
I think a 6. Oh, maybe they were 130. I think a 6 of Gore Grunters might actually be absolutely fine, and they can be battle line quite easily. They're fast. They've got a decent amount of wounds. They're going to count as 2 models. 2-inch reach, not 1-inch reach. So yeah, maybe they're a. I used to like having 1 unit of 6 regardless, and I think now they're going to be they're 5 wins apiece. 4 up save, buffing that to a 3 up save or a 2+ is going to be ridiculous.
Apparently, you could have got a bigger bottle of water, Byron. I just say it's because you've got a small head.
Hydration's my head is minuscule, but
that is a big bottle.
A little over this. Hydration is important, guys.
Yeah, stay hydrated.
Exercise, you must hydrate. I've got to make up for all the tears that are coming out due to hay fever as well. So
yeah. So we should probably talk about Gargants, right? So, like,
let's do it. They're a hot topic, aren't they?
Well, I think they're an army that like potentially could get broken. So something quite interesting here. So what you've got now is you've got the
Exclusive
Man Crusher sort of Gargant and the Man Crusher Gargant mob as 2 separate entries. So you can still run 3 Man Crushers for 490, which I believe give you your battle line. So you could still run 3 Mega Gargants and 3 Man Crushers, but you can't set them up in 3 separate individual units of 1. Because if you buy them individually, you spend more points, if that makes sense. That's what I've been told. So it looks that way. So you can take the unit of 3 instead. So the Gatebreaker, a Kraken Eater and War Stomper, they're still. I mean, the Gatebreaker's the most expensive, but if you take the mix and the Mega Mob, you're still in at 2k. How I read it.
Well,
anyway.
We've made it, Russ. We've got a spam bot in the chat. Does that mean we made it?
Yeah, must be
a big deal now. We're worth spamming. Amazing.
Remove that. Do I do that?
Someone asked.
I don't know.
Someone asking about the points for just normal Bone Splitters, like the battle line. Were they in the last shot?
They would have been, but I can go back to the Bone Splitters. I think they're just at the top. So Savage Orcs 130. The battle line go at the top. So sometimes you look down here, and you're like, where are they? Where are they? Because all the savages are here. They're actually at the top. So.
Cool. 130 for 20 wounds, maybe okay. They've always felt like they died to a stiff breeze, having played them a lot. So yeah, no worries, Jack. I did the same thing.
Yeah. So that's the Sons of Behemat. So yeah, it's they're fine. They're there. It's good.
Can you still take Kragnos in Sons of Behemat? Yes,
believe so. Like,
Yeah, he just
because he's got his own rule,
special
right?
ally
So,
rules. Yeah.
so I think
No,
if you've got a special rule on the War Scroll, or like that, will trump the restrictions in the core book. So, yeah, don't see why not. So.
welcome to Age of Sigmar 3 Megas Edition.
Asking me a question,
Yeah.
I'm like, and now I'm doubting it. I'm like, can you? If rules is written, I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's an FAQ
Imminent.
that's going to be coming, so it's like that. The other thing as well with Suns is the big giants of battle line as well. So like you can actually run just big ones. You don't need to have little ones. So you could run 4 biggies, which is the other thing I've just completely glossed over. But obviously the big the big giants of battle line. So you could run 4 mega gargants and not touch the little ones, which I probably would rather do, to be honest.
Quite nice that these guys, they don't feel like they've been shafted too much on points.
No, I think they've come out really well. I mean, they've got loads of bonuses.
Yeah,
like
me
you've
too.
got the generic artifacts. You can make one a wizard. You've got like, and then you could, potentially get flaming sword.
Yeah,
flaming
monsters
sword. Mega
monsters are
gargants,
good in this
good,
edition.
right? I mean, you got monstrous rampage. You've got heroic actions. You've got like, they're great. I mean, I think Sons of Behemoth come out really, really well in this.
Do a bit of healing as well now, which
do your finest hour.
Fight at the top
Fight
of
the
your
top of your
profile.
profile for a command point. Yeah.
Top of your profile for a command point. Best day ever.
It's my best day.
It is called best day ever, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So yeah, I think Sons have come out super, super well. So if you've got a Sons of Behemoth army, don't worry, you're into a really good point. So Chaos. I'm sorry for the followers of the Chaos Gods. So let me just go back to this. Beasts of Chaos. Okay, be honest about this. I don't really know. That's the points.
Not tournament toppers previously.
So
they took quite a lot from battalions as well to let them do strange things. So I think they've probably been hit fairly hard by that.
Yeah, I don't, Andrew. I don't know the points of that stuff because that's not in this book. They're in. I think they're on the Forge World PDF. So, as far as I know, for the Monsters Arcanum,
these points look very similar, by the way.
I think so. One thing I will point out is that I think like the Cockatrice is still quite cheap. It doesn't have the Behemoth keyword. I don't know if it always did.
No, it doesn't. Snuck up a little bit, but not too bad. This hasn't changed much, which is probably fair because it's not like
you know better than I do because you look at this more than me.
Breaking the game, yeah. Lots of cheap little units. If someone wants to MSU it, which no one has ever done, and has always had a bit more potential than people realise, this is still not a bad bet for a battle team.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too long on them because we don't know. So Blades
That's all good.
I know more about this one.
So off you pop then. How do you feel about priests then? Can we start with those? Because obviously a lot of stuff has changed with them. How do you think the priests have fared in this?
I think like because you've got generic prayers and they can do other things like they can get rid of invocations and get rid of endless spells. Like I still think slaughter priests are great. You can't do like your as someone called it, their corn microwave around the altar. Which I did like when they get close and you suddenly start rolling d6 mortal wounds 3 times and people are like, what's going on? I've just deleted half your army. But they're still good. Like I personally don't. I just 110 points is not a lot for what they are, really.
Bloodthirsters are still cheap. What?
Yeah, Bloodthirsters are really cheap. So
what?
Yeah, so 280.
They've not gone up at.
No, Scarbrand 380, Instant Rage 280, Unfed Fury 295, Referral 310. So I think they've got up slightly, but not really. I think Scarbrand's come down.
No battalion anymore, but
I think without
that's cool.
That's kind of how everyone used to play them, like spam them with the Hoops of Vengeance.
Hampered.
You can't use that anymore.
You can't use You can't use 2 command abilities on the same thing either, which is kind of where their strength was. It was bide your time and then pop in, do 3 things at once, when now you can do 1, or maybe like sneak in 2 if one's AoE or something. So cool. That looks like it's been well considered. I love seeing them on the table. Always have done.
One interesting thing is Blood Warriors are now gone up to a min size 10. So they're 2 10 points for 10, but you could have 30 in a unit. Now 30 Blood Warriors.
They're never bad.
Well, 30 Blood Warriors with, they've got a 4-up save.
4+.
You can issue command from the champion. There's 60 wounds in the unit.
Yeah.
They fight when they die. Like Blood Warriors are it's a lot of points, right? But that is a unit that ain't going anywhere.
You've still got a +1 save, like the Bronze Flash.
Not yet. Rob will do death in a minute. Save the best till last.
You still got the +1 Bronze Flash in that book, haven't you? Or whatever it's called. So they have multiple ways to get +1 save.
2 up, but 3 up maximum, right? And then mortal wounds on 6s with Gore Fists, right? That's how they work. Or Blood Fists, what are they called?
Yeah, you could send that into like a 2-rend unit and give them still a 3+. Yeah, if you used a spell and a prayer.
What have you got? A spell in a corn army? What are you on?
Ability. That's not how I play Warhammer.
I suppose you could have Archeon, that would work, right? So, I don't think these would come out bad at all. Like the Bloodthirsters seem really good. I mean, Blood Crushers look quite good for 130 as well. Like Skull Crushers seem a little bit expensive, but you can have 9. I always thought they're a bit.
I think a bit poopy, bit unwieldy now in this edition as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I'd be taking Cornate Chaos Knights. That would be a good inclusion here. Yeah, definitely.
So I think
obviously how much they cost, but yeah,
they've come out pretty well. Like not too bad at all. So
agreed. Yep. Skull cannons might be worth a shout if you're seeing monsters everywhere as well. 150 points. Sorry, 140 points isn't too much, and you can sneak in that formation as well, which not many people get a chance at. So, could be
exactly
the core battalion, the artillery one, just in case people think I'm talking about stuff that.
Zinch. So I got some notes from Brad. Thank you, Brad. So you lose the change host, horrors stay the same relatively, down 5 points. Monster cost has gone up, but heal and armor bonuses are so good. Point cost for Kairos Lord change blue skies flame is exalted flamer. So Kairos being 4/3/5 kind of knocks him out the ally pool as well for a lot of armies.
He's very good, and you can see why it's done. But that feels like a real shame because he's such a famous dude, and they'd sell more of him if he was 400. So,
essentially,
yeah.
Exalted Flamers look good for 140. So because obviously they shoot, I think horrors are 215. Loads of rules. I'm not going to talk about horrors rules because people are going to be like, how do horrors work? Well, I don't know. No one knows.
The combat enlightened and not too expensive.
That's on foot.
150.
That's on foot though. No one takes them on foot. Yeah. They've got that weird thing where you can take them on foot, which is so weird.
Oh yeah. Yes. Okay, take it back. No one's going to take enlightened.
No.
For 200. Sweet six, bro.
Yeah. So you got the points
maybe.
there.
I think horrors seem to have got away fairly well. It was inevitable that the characters who were behemoths were going to go up, but bit of a shame. I can see why they are what they are, though.
I think Kyric Acolytes for 125 are a good buy, especially with Unleash Hell, because they shoot, don't they? So you can have 30. Zangors are 195. I don't know what they were before. I think they were cheaper than that, right? They must have been like 180.
Yeah. Maybe 160 even.
I think Acolytes, when they were quite cheap, when they used to be like 80. Am I wrong?
I can't remember. Not played Slash. Sorry, Zinch too much.
Well, that's a Zinch. There you go. We'll. It's not an army I'll play because I can't bring myself to do it. Sinesh. We can talk about Sinesh, right? That's one we can do.
We can. I'm slightly worried.
Yeah, you should be. I think. So.
My safe bet for points not going up.
100 points Acolytes. There you go. So, what did you ask, Byron? Sorry, I was multitasking.
Oh no, I'm just worried.
You're reading. You're just.
Click
Are
next.
you sweating? So I need to go. I'm on the page.
Oh, it's loaded now. Okay.
Yeah, we're on a delay if you're watching it.
Bliss Bobs have gone up. Demonettes have gone up. Hellstriders have gone down. That makes no sense.
Yeah, they're really good.
Bladebringer's gone up. Bladebringer's on Exalted Chariot gone up slightly. Gone up slightly. Gone up slightly. All of them by about 15 points. Dip down where
Success is the same. I think the Enraptures has gone. It stayed the same.
Sigmar up by 5.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Shard's Keeper's the same. Sinest is the same. Glutus has gone up 75 points. Is that right? Because he was 400 before. Keeper's gone up a lot.
Yeah, he was. That is no.
Wasn't he 340 before? Was I wrong? 340?
Yeah, he was 340 because him and Sigvold added up to 600 exactly. So yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Because I've taken that combination.
Bliss Bob Seeker's gone up like 40. Fiends have gone up 20.
Yeah.
So there's massive increases on Sinesh. So
yeah, Fiends are now unviable entirely, in my opinion. Looking at that, because they don't have much reach. They've got one attack that's got 2-inch reach, so I don't think you'll see any of those in army. Where's the elite infant? Oh my god! Cymberus Twin Souls 185. Are you kidding me?
They won 7 before.
Myrmidesh. Yeah, let's put them up because everyone was taking them. I know you can make them battle line. The Lord of Pain's only gone up by 5 points, so that you could take him. But honestly, this is like 20% overcosted on.
Yeah, but they were overcosted when the book came out, right? And like,
I think it looks like they've been treated with the same approach as other stuff, which I could see, but they were already overpointed, and now they are further overpointed. So, I mean, Hellstriders with Hellscourgers going down, we've seen a lot of cavalry going down. I think they should have stayed the same points. They should have stayed the same points. Demonettes going up is an absolute joke. I know they can be reinforced because they're battle line, but they are so squishy. Paying 140 for 10 pathetic wounds.
If you're taking like battle line, you're taking 3 units of Hellscourgers, like cavalry, aren't you? Let's be honest. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, so in my opinion, the default prior to this was 2 Bliss Barbs and 1 Hellstriders, or vice versa. I don't think that's changed whatsoever. Maybe now it leans more towards the Hellstriders, but you do need the shooting. And with the Bliss Barb Seekers having gone up, I don't think they're particularly going to get a look in. They've got quite a lot of wounds for their points previously, but the problem with the Slanesh army is there is nothing that has multiple bodies that are fairly resilient. And so the Painbringers and the Twin Souls getting that treatment is
I don't know what all the F's are. Is that F tier, I guess? It's like,
I'm genuinely that is a.
I think like
I'm gonna have to
I think like the
fingers
cost
for being
going up
fixed
is,
at a later date.
Yeah, I think the problem is that you've got
keeper secrets.
You've got a timing issue, haven't
me?
you?
My God.
When the book was out and when the handbook, because obviously they got to print the thing, right? So,
yeah.
There's obviously a flat increase on every army, and
so let's be constructive about this. The last book benefited from the opposite of this, with the most underpriced summoning that's ever been in Age of Sigmar. So it was on the other side of this coin. That's crap. Also, this is still crap.
It's a good point, Albin, about summoning being better with being able to bring in big.
I was just going to say, yeah, you can bring in 30 Demonettes for 12 summoning points, which isn't unachievable. That's about the same as Keeper. I mean, maybe you want to be summoning your Keeper now and just being more patient if the game is being more patient, because paying 420 points for a Keeper feels grim. The elite infantry were catastrophically overpriced anyway, and that's only even more so. Sorry, Slanesh players. That is apart from Sigvold, that is, and Exalted Chariots and Hellstriders, that is basically universally sad news.
Yeah, it is sad. I mean, I've got a Slanesh army, so I know the pain. There you go. But I can't say too much about.
Bliss Barbs are more expensive than the LRL archers. Are you kidding me?
But they always have been.
Yeah.
So, and LRL, they've all gone up by a formula.
They went up by
percentage.
they went out by 20, and Bliss Bobs went up. Sorry,
they went
Lumineth
up by
ones
10 and they went up by
less.
20. Yeah, I know. So that's what it is.
Okay. Next,
So,
I'll put my dummy back.
At least
in.
you know
Sorry,
that
guys.
every 6 months it gets adjusted, right? So
yeah, and I imagine this will get fixed. But I'll just practice at 1,500 points / 2,000 points, and when I get my points back, I'll be amazing. We're playing at handicap.
Exactly, yeah. Just get better. No, I mean obviously think... it's such a big change in the edition, and there's because you got timing with when books are printed and when stuff goes out, then there's some issues with being able to balance points for stuff that's never been played and never been out, and by the time you cut off, so without saying too much, but yeah, it's
only a masochist would play them. Very appropriate. Yeah.
Maybe.
No, it's
just
I was
bring your lever.
I was I felt that the timing might be an issue for them in the same way that it was good for them in the past. So, oh well. Next, Nurgle. Now, Nurgle were like just up tiered for like 3 years in a row, with various updates and Wrath of the Everchosen and stuff like that. How have these guys fared?
I think they've come out all right. Like, Plague Bearers at 110. I mean, that's still pretty good, isn't it?
A clean one for 350. Yes, please.
Because I think he was 320, so he's not gone up anywhere near as much as the Keeper of Secrets.
Absolutely fine. Rotigus for 345.
Everything on this list looks great compared to the last one, right? So
it no way to sugarcoat it. Plague Bearers at 110. Like, what the hell? 140 for Demonettes, 110 for Plague Bearers. All right, simmer down. I won't, but
I can't say too much.
All good. Sloppy pretty good. Spoilpox Scrivener, fairly good. Poxbringer, fairly good. This just looks. They look to have got through extremely solidly. I think you're gonna see them a lot because they don't have their battalions that they used to have. But
that's pretty good.
Oh yeah. You still got Wrath of the Everchosen, which is basically like the best battalion you could ever see.
Yeah. And to be honest, like beside Thricefold, like Nurgle, they didn't run a lot of battalions. You ran like the sub factions, which they're called now, but you never ran like battalions apart from Thricefold. But you almost did that because you felt you had to. But now with core battalions, you don't really have to. So I think it opens quite a lot more things. Obviously,
two monsters instead of 3, I think will probably fit quite nicely anyway. Or you could drop in Bellicor or Archeon. If you're going to have less, maybe you just screw off the battalion and 2 with great unclean ones, and you drop in the big man. He's pretty good with them.
Yeah, I think like Putrid Blight Kings as well. I think you used to be able to have like a big unit of them. Now you can only have 15 max. So I think you used to be able to have 20, which would be like something ridiculous, like the amount of wounds you could get.
Yeah.
Still good though. I mean, Lord of Afflictions 180. He's good for what he does. I still think he's a solid hero. So I mean, it
looks good.
Plague Drones 195. They don't seem that they've gone up really too much. I think they've gone up a little bit, but yeah, I think they've come out pretty well. Slaves, no Skaven. Forget, there's never they're not chaos to me. So actually, like Sean sent me like a really, really, really cool breakdown for Skaven. He's really excited about them. So basically, Thanquol's gone up 390 to 405. Stormfiends have gone up from 260 to 315. Gracer and Bell's gone up 240, 265. Clanrats have gone up. Storm Vermin gone up. Hellpit's gone up only 20 points. Doomwell's gone up 15. Vermin's all up 10 to 15. But what he said to me is that Skaven are really solid because you've got the Kragnos rules for hiding weapons, teams, and units, and Unleash Hell with warp fire throwers is disgusting because basically they're an 8-inch range, but you can do it when they charge you, and you can just unleash warp fire. So Thanquol unleashing hell on you when you charge him is pretty strong.
Cool.
So I think he's super solid. And like you've also got things like more warp power when you cast that on shooters to get rerolls and things like that.
Rerolls.
So I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like
cheeky 405 on Thanquol. Not
Clan Rats,
just
you can have 60 in a unit as well, like because you can you can go. They're double reinforced, so you can have
Yeah.
big units of clan rats. Sorry, people who can't see the bottom. So
Plague Monk seems to be fairly 85 for 10. That's just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Acolytes, solid.
yeah,
Battle
65
line.
points for 5. Battle line. Yeah, I think Skaven have come out pretty good.
All day, every day.
And then you've got the sort of the endless spells there, which is 85, 80, 90, so all under 100. And you've got Magickin and allies only if the generals can pestilence. But pretty good. I think they're quite good, and in addition, a lot of the rules make them quite good.
Yeah. They've got very good command abilities that probably are things that maybe the next time they get a book, they won't be quite as good. So maybe this is their time to shine in the gap.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, obviously, like, Plague Monks come as 10s, so max you can have is 30 if they're battle line.
Still fine. Other units are going to be
used to
smaller,
run 40,
so it's okay.
didn't they? But, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much of a difference.
No, I don't think so.
Really. I think they breezed the last two, so Skaven and Nurgle, I think, have breezed through really, really well. Like, really well.
So, Slaves to Darkness. So
Off you pop then. You know this one.
Big change really.
Chaos Knights, the best things ever.
Yes, they are. Big change is Chaos Warriors 10 for 200. So
That's a big difference.
No 5s anymore for 90. But you can run 30 in a unit, which is horrendously powerful for objective control.
Brilliant. Yeah, and their rune shields we already mentioned. I think that their rune shields just get better and better. It seems everything we read is a reason to take them more.
Yeah, I think the points of stuff have changed in line with other stuff. Obviously, like Lord and Demonic Mount, I think is a pretty good buy for 155. The Carcadrat going up is still a bit expensive, really, for what you get. So I normally discounted mine by taking a Lord on Demonic Mount for the command ability, because obviously it's quite Knights of Chaos is quite a good ability. Chaos Knights are great; they're just fantastic. Like just generally in 5s or in 10s or in 15s, if you really want a defensive unit, they really are like a bit of a winner. Marauders
Sorcerer
again.
Lord only 115.
The what? Sorry, Sorcerer. Yeah, the Sorcerer is still a cheap buy for what he is. The Firmoid Crusher is 110. He's got the monster keyword, but not a behemoth, so he's pretty good. Particularly what he does, so he's a good option. Mind Speed of Pharynx as well is also a monster 95, so you can go in with your Pharynx and do raw. So it's pretty good. You've got Be'lakor, the Dark Master is 360, which is a pretty cheap for what he does. Archon is 830.
I think that feels about fine.
Yeah, he's pricey, but he's very good. I think Varangard
can go to 2+.
Have come out really well, because Varangard are basically like 280, which is what they are now, but they haven't got worse, and everything else has pretty much gone up. So,
yeah. Also, don't worry about coherency in 3s, which is a real plus. It's a lot of damage in a small space. Yeah.
I run 3s in my army. Like Untamed Beasts at 70 points are still great, but you've also got this. They're battle line annihilators for the sort of Warcry models, but they're all really cheap for what they are. Like 70, 75, 70, 85. They're just for those chaffy units. That's a really good, really nice price. You only use 2 units of Untamed for screens, so they're still really good. They're such an auto include even as allies, so definitely really good. I mean my list I lent on the Warriors and the Knights. The Warriors being 10 for 200 is a bit of a big deal. I used to like running 15 for 270, but now I have to run 20 for 400. It's an extra 130 points out of my list. It means I lose a hero. It's and Knights were 160, so they've gone up a bit, but Varangard staying the same is nice.
Yeah. Vanguard, Chaos Knights, and Blood Knights seem to be like really tasty little. They feel little now because they're not 6+.
Yeah, I think like anything that's like combat-y on overalls that isn't 6 is good.
Yeah, for sure. Rip Fiends.
They're on ovals. You can take them in a 3.
Yeah. Yeah. 200 points. No thanks.
That's Chaos, I believe.
Yeah. So I think nothing like a joke there, no mega bargains, but also they just seem very solid, which is kind of the army in general, isn't it? Actually, appropriate.
I'll just do this for the Skaven players because they're asking. You obviously can pause this video back and have a look at it if you want to see it. So,
Ghur seems cheap at 360.
He does seem cheap for what he is. Yeah. I wonder what the Demon Prince was actually. 210, still good. Like I used to call him Demon Prince.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Not too bad. You obviously can run Marauders at 10s for cheap battle line as well. So, not that you want the models, but yeah.
I was just gonna say.
You'll have like He-Men. But yeah, it does, the Chaos Warriors do seem a bit. I mean, they've gone up a lot in stock because of the defensive nature of them, the mortal wound saves, but it's yeah.
Just the change to Mystic Shields was enough to make them go up in stock. I think they're already solid. You just made them a lot more solid.
Yeah, and then we've got Death. See the best faction. Right. Leave it to last.
Take it away then. How did your boys fare?
I think Flesh Eaters have got a little bit of a raw deal. If I'm honest.
I think they had a raw deal before any point. So and Soulblight had a good deal.
I think it's just because things like Crypt Flayers and Horrors are 4 wounds, not 5. They're in 3, so if you want 6, they've all got 1 inch reach. It's like they kind of like you want to run big units of them, but then they don't really want to run big units of them. So they kind of feel. I think the Varghulf stayed the same. The King on Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragon have gone up. They're 4/4/5, which when you look at when you look at a Vampire on Zombie Dragon, I think they are 4/3/5 with a better armor save.
I think both of those things feel a bit expensive.
They feel a bit pricey, yeah. And I think the things like Crypt Ghouls being 95, they're just not very good. Like they should just be 80. I just think they're too pricey.
You can summon in battle line in 20s. Never to be sniffed at and stuff. But I thought these guys would have had it hard.
Units anymore. I mean, they're never good anyway. But like, I mean, you don't run 3 units of 10 min just for Ghoul Patrol, and they obviously like the battalions and stuff. So I know you get 3 units, but that's more on the heroes. So the Archregent at 2/4/5, he's still a bargain because of what you get from him.
He is.
So like
absolutely
100% run like double Archregent. It's very good. Sure. I mean, obviously it's command points, but with the Carnal Throne you get to use it free. So, but obviously you can't issue the same command ability more than once a phase. So if you
can't stack them, which punishes this army hard.
So if you've got like Gristlegore, and you want to use like fight when you die or fight at the start, is that you can't because it's in the same phase. So it's like I think there's a lot of stuff that makes. I mean, one good thing about them is that command points are important and they're more plentiful. So and you're not restricted by. I mean, I haven't played much with them at all in 3. I just kind of, I think. For me, like Soulblight just seem like they do it better. So, like especially Avangori. So,
agreed. It's kind of incidentally, FAC have just suffered due to multiple things.
Yeah.
So maybe them getting a bit cheaper in the future would be a way for that to be countered.
I don't think they're bad.
Or whatever.
Like they're not bad. They're just different.
You've always had to play your tits off with them. Post the days when you could run 4 Terrorgeists at people and win before people knew what they did. I think they've always been an army you had to play very well with because they're so fragile. So that's not changed at all.
No. Nighthorn. So some changes. Obviously, no 40 Chainmass Horbs anymore. You've got min size.
I was really sad.
Minimum size on Blade Guy's Revenants is now 10, not 5. Same with Harridan's. So that means you can have units of 20 because they can't be battle lines. So if they were 5s, you'd only have to have 10. So I never ran anything more than 20 in a unit anyway. I think I ran 15s maximum. Grimghast Reapers 10, 155. They've got 2-inch reach. I think a 30 of them is still very strong. Chain Rasp 95. So they're in line with, they were 80, they're 95. Ghouls were 80, then are 95. So it's kind of in line. It's almost like it's been blobbed along. Hex Wraiths, I think, quite good for 150 for 5.
Yeah. Also, everyone's got a million of them because they came in every start collecting as Black Knights, which no one took or built either.
They come in both Malignants,
yeah.
and Malignants is Spirit Host, isn't it? They come in the skeleton one with the Mortark.
Yeah, Death Rattle Horde.
I don't know if you get any more. And then Hex Spirit Hosts 125, so they've got up 5 points. I still like Spirit Hosts. Obviously, they're a bit not as good because they've got 1-inch reach. They're on big bases, like 50s. So Black Coach 220. So it's pretty good. I think like the Guardian of Souls. I think he's actually come down to 135. I think he's 140 before, so that's nice. The Para I think went for 990. I think he was. It's been a while since I played Nighthaunt. Knight of Shrouds at 100 seems good. And if you're a Steed at 120, I think they might come down. I think it's 120, 140. I might be going back as last edition points because I've not played the last handbook because of COVID. I've not really played many games, so.
And of course, they had a little bit of a uptick in terms of power level with the Kragnos update, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I think these have probably looked fairly solid.
Glaive Wraith Stalkers,
them aesthetically.
Yeah, definitely max size Glaive Wraith with 8. So yeah, they're definitely going to roll for your opponent. It's interesting with Myamon as well because you can only have 8 max, and they had a rule where 12 gave you like I think +3 to unbind, and now you only get +2. So it's like
maybe that's screaming FAQ all over it, isn't it?
Potentially. I mean, the rule still works though, right? It's just that you can't have as many. So they were 70 for I think they were 70 before, and then you'd get like it was 210 for 12 of them. So I believe I might be wrong. Again, it's been a long time since I've played Nighthaunt. Krulgast Cruciator 120. I think he's really good for what he does. Lord, the hero that I always thought was really underrated is the Spirit of Torment, and he's 115. It seems like a steal because he does the healing in the battle shock phase. So yeah, I think they've come out pretty well. Nighthaunt. I mean, you've got the minimum sizes, which I don't think hurt them too much unless you were into spamming chain rasps. So
agreed. That was an unpleasant experience for everyone, including the people playing it as well. So I think that's fine.
Yeah. OBR. So Mortec Crawlers have gone up 15. Death Riders have gone up 20. Mortec Guard.
Oh, I forgot about them as elite cav. Probably not a bad option now.
Yeah, you can take 15 of them because they're battle line.
Yeah.
Harvester's gone up 15, I think. It was 200 before. Xantos, I think, was 200, so he's got 5. Catacross has come down, I believe. I think he was 500 before. So he's solid anyway. Liege Cavalos 180. I think he was 185. He was 180 before.
Yeah.
The Reaper's 190.
Bone
Shaper, Soul Mason, Soul Reaper, they seem kind of the same. They might have changed up 10
maybe
points.
Up by a tiny bit, yeah.
Vok Mortian 155. Arcan 360.
Still super solid.
Which is pretty solid, yeah. Nagash 970, so just about legal.
Shotgun man.
Immortis Guard are 190, Archive 190, Harbingers 185, Stalkers are 180, which I think are pretty good at that cost. Like, because other stuff's gone up, they haven't really gone up.
Just a scuttling 3, yeah.
So, it's quite interesting having a unit of 4 Morghast because the coherency doesn't really affect them.
So that's a good point.
It's quite good. I actually think Stalkers are pretty good with their like aspects because they're not using relentless discipline and stuff like that. Obviously,
they buff themselves, don't they?
There's a lot of stuff with OBR because of the new edition, which how do they work? What do the command abilities? What do formations do? What about their bound spells? Because a lot of the rules in the edition feel like OBR rules have been cascaded out to everyone. So obviously, like those kind of things need to be like addressed, and we haven't got that document. So how does that happen?
We'll talk about it.
So
we'll talk about it when it happens, I guess.
When the FAQ drops, we will do a show on it and we'll talk about it. So
yeah. So like the obvious takeaways from that, I think Death Riders are worth considering. I know like 190 for 5 sounds like a lot, but they're unrestricted. They can buff their move. No, they're elite. Catacross, I'm surprised he's not more, especially given he gives you a flat 3.
5.
What?
Because he's got the Liege Cavalos and he's got the rule. I think he's flat 5 RDP. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's 5.
Oh wow!
Because he's a hero, loads. Plus he's a Cavalos, plus he's Catacross.
So, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, surprised by that. And yeah,
Ossiarch beta testers, love it. Yeah, so I mean, I think Mortec Guard haven't gone up much either, and they're on 25 mil bases, which makes a big deal. Because they can't have 40. I never run 40. I only run 20s anyway. So I think they were 140 before, because I think it was 280 for 20. So I don't think they've changed. And they're still amazingly good battle line.
The +1 save on them as well is just insane.
It's nice to see stuff not all at 200, because that was always a pain when it's like I need like 600 points, and it's like, so there's some stuff lower. So like the Harbingers and Stalkers. I think the Stalkers are better than the Guard. So I don't know why they're cheaper. I would have thought they'd be around, but I'm not going to argue. I've got 6 assembled, which took me ages and ages and ages. So it's like assembling like 4 times the amount of models, because you've got 4 arms and 4 different heads. So it's like when you build them together, it's almost like you're building 3 models, but you're actually building 9. So it feels. So yeah, not too bad.
They're battalions as well, so you've unlocked more points, and things aren't 200 points. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see
what an OBR army looks like.
Happens with the battalions, because they were super important for your RDP. So like,
yep.
I ran Catacross and didn't really run many formations, but a lot of the other armies that didn't run Catacross would have to run lots of formations, but obviously they're not legal. The not formations, Warscroll battalions, and obviously we don't know what's going on with the core battalions, because they give you command abilities. So how does that work? So
let's find out.
Soulblight Gravelords. Now, I think these guys have come out really well, because basically they've not changed. So obviously they were the last book to come out.
They've assumed,
and they've essentially the same. So nothing's really changed massively. I think there are a couple things that have changed. Like I think the Curse City come down, like the War Scroll costs for that. I believe that, and I think that's because Radakar the Wolf has been taken out of that group as a separate unit for 150. So that's the change. Whereas he was lumped into the Curse City lot, so he's now separate. So you want to run him on foot on your own. You can run Radakar the Beast as well. But that's good. I think Lucavi's the same, Annika's the same, Rat Prince the same. It all looks pretty much the same. I think I can't really see much else different. Mortis Engine, that's fine. Direwolves, Death Rattles, get zombies. Obviously, you can have 60 zombies as well now, because they're battle lines. You can double reinforce them. I think Death Rattle feel a little bit hard to write Death Rattle lists, because they come as 10s. So if you want to run 2 30s of Skellies, that's all your reinforcement points gone.
Yeah.
So it does make it hard. I was running like 20 Skellies, 30 Graveguard with a White King, or 20 Graveguard, 20 Graveguard, 20 Death Rattle Skellies, 20 Death Rattle Skellies, which actually feels quite nice. It's quite a nice looking symmetrical army.
I think the Black Knights at 120 just not that bad.
Like, they're great.
Not awful on the charge. Yeah,
but they do mortal wounds though. So like they don't, their combat profile's not very good, but they do mortal wounds, and their battle line, and they're fast, and like we talked about like Fellbats being your anti-unleash hell, but they're also good at it as well, and the battle line in Legion of Blood. So
do a bit more on the table. Blood Knights probably don't need any explanation, but they are amazing. They are one of the best things in the game, in my opinion, now.
I think now they feel like the best cavalry in the game. hands down.
Yeah, which is,
Which is
suddenly
what they
they
should be,
became what
really.
people were hoping they would be for like the last 15 years.
Just if you can get them,
So
then you're all good. There's just
yeah,
stock
they're,
shortages everywhere, I think, for Blood Knights. But
yeah,
yeah, I
way
think
more defensible than people think as well. They are so good at the grind. Stand them in terrain for cover. They don't have to worry about coherency. You definitely don't need to run them in a 10. Don't consider it ever. Like 3 5s plus 4 5 6 7 5s. Right up to the top. Them with +1 save on is grim, like absolutely grim. And if you're taking them in the dynasty where they start buffing themselves when they kill stuff as well,
Castelli.
so much fun. Yeah, they're an incredibly legit and fun choice and an enjoyable army to play with, I think.
I think Soulblight are really good in 3, especially with
Agreed.
the AoE command abilities from the Frata and Manfred. I've written lists with both in because they can both issue, and you can overlap the bubbles, and then they've got good spells. So it's really solid.
And their points are fine. They haven't been hit hard. I just
No,
keep
they
looking
stayed
at
the
all of
same
these
as
and
what they were.
wondering.
It's all the same, basically.
Yeah.
It's obviously like the Soulblight was the
and-
last book out, so it's kind of yeah.
Forge shame still. Maybe
No,
that
it's the
will
same
get
with what he
fixed
was
at
in the
some
book.
point.
So he's 4/5/5. So
Yeah.
it's, I still think he's solid. Like, I mean, I think
I
Soulblight.
don't think he's going to get in lists in tournaments.
I don't know. Like, I think you might see him in a double Dragon Castelli list. So I think Soulblight pretty much like have come through as if I had to pick a faction in Death that's the strongest, it's definitely Soulblight. Like hands down. And it's not
ridiculous.
It's not really that much competition, but I obviously, and I think mostly because they've got like such a varied amount of stuff and so much variation in their battle tome. So I do think they're particularly strong. I think it's they've come out pretty well, because especially the battle line if right. So because they've got access to so many heroes that are a general in addition, you can basically have a survivable general, like, and then have a White King general, which then makes the Graveguard battle line, which are then summonable. So it's they're so good, like across the board, right? So
I guess what we're seeing here is just a battle tome that was written close enough to this edition for it to be made for this edition. So that's why they make sense. That's why they look good. And it's been a long time coming, so kind of nice.
I think it's the books that were like delayed or like come out not right at the end, but kind of towards the end, which have been punished. Like Sinesh, and obviously like if Sinesh had come out and it was undercosted and really good, then it would have got away with it, wouldn't it? Same like Daughters of Cain, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's just unfortunate, like timing. I feel for you. But
my keeper is not going to be living that 420 life with any happiness whatsoever.
No,
looking at
all,
at Great Unclean Ones or Neferatas or basically any behemoth in the game. Never mind.
So Monstrous Arcanum is not in the book, so I believe that as a PDF that will be on the Forge World website. I don't know if it's getting updated. It's not in this book, so that is the end of the pitch battle points in this book. So from this book,
any absolute winners that people think what has got through? Like, what is anything an absolute joke? Like, apart from Slanesh, but I mean, like, is anything
that's the
really
wrong
good?
joke, right? That's when they're the butt of the joke.
Let's see. That's the masks happy sad face theatrical masks joke, isn't it? But yeah, what are the things that people think for their points look like an absolute bargain? I think Lumineth Realm Lords got off pretty well in general when they're a very strong book anyway.
Well, I think that's again that's around the same timing, right? Lumineth, Daughters, Sinesh, those sort of books. I think, to be honest, I think Sons of Behemat are a big winner.
Yep.
So, wow, look at the chat.
Yeah.
I think Nighthaunt have done all right as well, if I'm honest. Like, it's a good point.
Yeah. I think Beastclaw people won't clock, but or just the ogres in general, I think are going to be very, very solid on the table, and they've always been very fun to play. And they've
Corn
always been.
Bloodthirsters.
Yeah, completely.
Still good.
completely. I think I was very surprised by that. Obviously, not being able to, get your 9-inch pile in and do something else and always strikes first and whatever else, that's going to hold them back. But
it's a really good point by, I think it was BH before it scrolled off the chat 'cause it's going mental, was lead belchers, because I think they come as a 6 minimum and they can unleash hell. So
yeah, all right then.
yeah, pretty good.
Gabe's taking Gargants on Saturday. Nice. I might be playing him. Exciting.
Yeah.
No idea why Gloom Spike got more expensive. Everything got a bit more expensive. But yeah, it's not like they were smashing stuff. I own Lumineth Realm Lords and Daughters of Cain. Both got effed. No, what? Excuse. Were you watching?
Were you?
No.
I think what you need to do
My
is
God.
is get some of your lists and put them back, and then like through the new points, and then just basically, just kind of like see how it comes out, because you don't pay for formations. So you also need to look at the core battalions. So like where you'd run like bigger units, you're actually going to put in. I found what happened to me is I'd be going, actually, I'm going to run a cheap hero because I want to unlock another battalion. So I need another hero. And I can't run this many big heroes because they're
your rat prince in Soulblight.
Yeah. I mean, my list had 5 heroes. And I dropped a corpse cart to put the rat prince in, so I had 6 heroes, so I could do double warlord, therefore get the extra artifact. So it's like, that's the kind of stuff that you play around with, and I think that what you got to remember as well, like it's a new edition, so like points changes and changes to the game. It's an opportunity for you to go back to your battle tome, look at units that you didn't look at before, look at the formations, cut these cool ideas like lead belchers. Unleashing Hell is a really good unit, as a good example. Namati Reavers, things like warp fire throwers hidden in clanrat units. All this stuff suddenly becomes super viable that you never. Thanks, man, for signing up. So
yeah, thank you so much, Sion.
Yeah, we've got a competition as well. Going on until the 15th of July. So anyone who becomes a member on YouTube or a patron or donates a coffee through Ko-fi, will be entered into a prize draw, and we'll give out some vouchers. We'll give out some FACEHAMMER dice. We'll announce those winners. Obviously, we appreciate the support. Battle plans. So I'll go. I'm not going to go into them in detail, but I can quickly flick through and talk about some of the ones I like. I can show them now, but I will be doing a separate show where I go on the battle plan. So let's do that quickly now while we've got you guys. So I don't want you to feel like you've been shortchanged.
While you're finding them, Russ. People, when you're working out your lists, thank you, Thomas. When you're working out your lists, don't do it in your own bubble of what you used to pay and what you're paying now and all that stuff. Do bear in mind that when you turn up to a tournament, you're not going to face 3 units of 30 witch elves ever. Everything has changed. Tom Worsley is green. He's very happy.
Yeah.
So some people have obviously been shafted, hands up. But when you are writing your list, remember that what you're going to be facing is going to be different as well. So everything of yours has gone up by 10%.
Cheers,
if it did, then there's a very good chance that other people's stuff has gone up by 10%. So think about it like that. Maybe write your list and then write your worst matchup opponents list and see what they look like. Because I do think you'll be kind of surprised, and armies have got smaller and cuter, a bit more hero heavy, and a bit less spammy large unity. So you don't need to be as upset as you think you maybe do.
Yeah. I think as well, like Law Seekers losing unique is massive, right, for Lumineth.
Oh, that is absolutely ridiculous. Was there a limit to the core battalions? From this book, you can only have one of them.
So the two new ones, you can only have them once. The ones in the core book, you can have as many as you want, as long as you fulfill the requirements. So
can you have both of the 2 new ones in this one, Russ, or can you only have one of them?
You can have 2 of them, but you can't run Beast Hunters twice.
The same.
So I ran in my list Warlord, double Warlord, and the Beast Hunters. So
oh wow, thank you so much, people.
Yeah, thanks guys for signing up. Really appreciate it. So
Forge World are not in this book.
Yeah, there is a reference to them saying they make mistakes, which is amazing. You could
£2
also access
30
new
Sentinels does
emojis
kind of
as well if
ridiculous.
you're a member. So there's some just a bit of fun, who knows? But there you go.
You need to get a cheeky Russ on there.
Yeah,
2 times 30
I have to
Sentinels is
ask
kind of
Maudsley.
ridiculous. It is 2 times 30 Sentinels. I think is absolutely disgusting, and they squeaked through. That still is
Sentinels are
super
still
scary.
amazing, right? I mean, I know you've lost
Oh, they're
Ori and
nuts.
Legion and stuff, but they're still amazing. Like Lumineth are great. Like I know it looks like
Yeah.
you've got a because they had good formations, so it's like they have or have not. But actually, like so many armies never had good formations and didn't have cheap undercosted good units. You had the best of both. You feel like you've been hard done by, but actually, if you played an army like Sinesh, you'd be like, "Oh man, I feel like I've been dragged across the coals." I'm sorry, Sinesh, but I'm not. I feel your pain. I'm with you. I understand. Like OBR, I know as well for me. Like I need to like really understand what's going to happen with those. So I find as well like what you end up with the game in general is like it's not so much a big deal like having big units. You have MSU. You generally have like one or two big units, or like medium sized units, which I think's good. So as well, I think cheers, Alistair. So I think the Caradrons fit into the one drop like quite well as well, from what I understand.
That's a good point.
And I would say like
Also,
go on.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say like the thing is like change is good, right? You can look at it two ways. You can look at it, the change has happened, that my army's now got all these changes and I don't like some of them, or you could look at it as an opportunity to go back. I had a comment on a video about Blades of Corn, and basically the guy saying this is great, I can go back into my battle tome, I can look at what I've got, I can look at these new formations. And Corn arguably relied very heavily on Warscroll battalions, and now it's like they're gone and their sort of priests feeling like they got worse, but actually they've still got a lot of stuff going on in that book, and I think so yeah, it's cool. So yeah, sign up guys, take the coin, join the Legion. So we'll do battle plans unless you wanted to say something, Byron. I know we've been pontificating a bit.
I've just been keeping my eyes on the chat. I do think KO benefit quite a lot from Unleash Hell and the Retreat, and also a lot of their units that are on all right saves, being able to give them +1 now without needing a wizard that you didn't have. I think KO are going to be interesting and different. And the other thing I wanted to say in general was,
I feel you, Paul.
Touching it on the chat.
Got to find the pleasure through pain. Well. That's kind of what you do, is Sinesh, right? I mean, like, come on. No, I think if I had to pick one faction that's been kicked in the face, it's Sinesh. So, but it's a 6-month window. If you're in the UK, you're probably not going to be playing any events until, and you're learning the edition, right? So just learn the edition, and then when you get your power up, you'll be like, great, I'm now going to kick ass because I've got more stuff and other people,
I promise I will try and make them work as well, which will probably be an instructive thing for people to listen about. But this comes as part of a larger change in the best edition of Age of Sigmar / Warhammer Fantasy that has ever existed, and I do genuinely believe that. I've played a couple of games. It wasn't part of the playtesting or any of that jazz, but I've had a couple of games and read them and obsessed about them, and obviously chatted with Russ and Les a fair bit about what's cool now and stuff like that. And it's just really exciting, and stuff isn't faffy. On the table, it feels brilliant. There are less non-interactive games. There is less, I got you with my pile-in nuance that you're never going to understand because it feels unintuitive. A load of things that have been changed in the game feel like they are the way that they should have always been. And if anyone's taught new players recently how to play the game or build an army, it's quite a difficult process, or was quite a difficult process, saying why things were what they were. And a lot of those are just gone now. So genuinely, I do feel that this is the best the game has ever been. And also, I think the last change was an absolute soft touch. It was a bit pathetic in comparison to this. And it's nice to change things properly, mix things up. Like see a full brute army, whatever it is, that is awesome. I cannot wait to attend events and just see what the hell people put on the table. So I do, even as someone who's just been
yes, Henry.
Shafted thoroughly.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah. As someone who's been shafted thoroughly, I'm still super excited for this edition, and I'll just take my lumps because I'd rather play this than my army being better in the last edition.
if you guys as well, again, if you guys haven't checked it out, you should check out the like 2+ Tough does really good like narrative stuff. So he's done some good stuff on Path to Glory. Cult of Paint have done some really nice painting videos on the news box set, so definitely check them out. And you can listen to him in his dulcet tones. He's got a much nicer voice than me. I'm very jealous of it. So
let's listen to him when he goes to sleep.
And I think Just Play have got a load of like battle reports and stuff like that. So check those guys out. So I just want to quickly talk about battle plans because I've mentioned we're talking a lot and we haven't really got to them. So there's 12. I'm not going to read them all out. But what you can see, one of the good things is you can see the board size is like Warcry fold-out tables. So the objectives are really easy to know where to put them because they go on the creases. So like, and you can see that the squares of the fold-out board become your territories. So like even like maps, and one good thing about the handbook is you get a big map that you can fold over that you can put A5 and stand on the table to help you when you set up. It gives you an overview of what happens. But you can see you've got like these different types of objectives as well with the tokens are double-sided, so you can use the two. So you've got the two different, like on Savage Gains, you've got two different ones. So Savage Gains is basically old border war, which I really like. First Blood is this kind of like where you meet an engagement. But you can see that the territories being these L shapes, there's none of this like this weird bobbly measure 9 away from objectives or put lines across the table and stuff like that. It's like you go soul grinders can be used. They're in the Slaves to Darkness points. So you have like different ones, and some of the missions you can't use like the shatter ability, so you can't like break down some objectives. Some of them allow you to have got funky rules. So, some are fairly straightforward. It depends. I think for me, like, Survival of the Fittest is quite interesting because you pick some of your alpha units and you get points for killing those units in the game. So in the game, you've got to pick 3 units that are like your important units that, have to stay alive, and you want to try. They're called like predators and prey. It's quite an interesting mechanic, but you can see as well like the deployment's really really close in that one. So, and then you've got like this. There's also quite a lot of neutral grounds. A lot of the boards have a lot of no man's land, or no person's land, I should say. Whereas the like tetradic interference is like you roll to see which one scored more. So that's a bit like the old Battle for the Past, but rather than being end on this way, it's this way. I'm going right through these. I mean, obviously you could Celestant Prime is obviously
the
getting
donation. Red shows,
well, it's 325, so let's hope so. So get them cheap on
otherwise
eBay.
Maybe you can put stick some different wings on him and call him Ionestro.
So your Apex Predators, again, like there's all these different ones on here. So there's a lot of rules in this one. So some have got lots of special rules. These are all match play, so they're all balanced for that. I really like the Vice. Like this one's quite interesting. So your objectives start in the corners, and as the game goes on, they move towards the center of the table, and you end up with 1 in the middle at the end of the game. So like you start off with the 4 right at the back, and then the table kind of shrinks on turn 3 and then on turn. So you've got to have units that are quite far back, then be quite fast, or you've got to have stuff you can leave behind. So like some armies really like this mission, particularly people who've got like Flesh Eaters are really good at coming on for the edges early on, and then they're like, oh, I've got to kind of keep units back, but then as it comes to the middle, you want to be scrummed in the middle. So it's kind of like the two together, which is quite interesting. Tooth and Nail. Go on.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you take 3 zombie dragons or terrorgeists as a unit because they don't have? They're not single in Soulblight Graveyard.
No, I'm pretty sure they.
Right.
You did because the War Scroll just says it is a unit of 1, right?
Yeah.
Because the War Scroll has a bit on it that says this is taken as a single unit. It doesn't say like you can. Some of them say is a unit of X to something models. Others will say or any number of models, and then that restricts it. But I'm pretty sure the War Scroll is a unit of 1 model.
Oh,
so
never mind.
Whatever the War Scroll says.
So,
I mean, cool if you can, but I don't think you can. You run out of points pretty quickly. Why would you want to run 1 unit? I don't know. Maybe command points. I don't know. We're getting ahead. So, but yeah, you can see like on the missions as well. Like your max, your scoring is 3 points for your objectives, 2 for your battle tactic, and at the end it's 3. and then you've got your monster kills as well. So if an objective is kicked, well, it just moves, and then so like it's already at the moment. It's like it says if it mentions territory, there are rules that if an objective borders two territories, like on this map, this objective here, which is between two, would count as being in both territories, and not territory. But if it was here, that's just that territory. So there are rules around that. They're in the core book. You can read that. You can download the core book from Warcom. If you search it, you have to give your email address, but I'm sure there's people who've linked it directly. So these are the sort of the missions. Then you've got Feral Four-Way. You've got some where you raid objectives. So this one you can burn objectives, but you can only do one a turn and only from battle round 2. So you're still not going to get rid of them that quickly. So it's a bit like the old Scorched Earth, but it's not as feel bad. You don't get that turn where you just burn them all and that's it. So yeah, there's all these missions that you can go back and pause these and read them if you're interested. So I'm going to just scroll through. I haven't. The Veins of Ghur, I think, is the last one. So these ones, this is like Star Strike. So they drop, and then they drop again. So they drop one in the middle. Then there's 2, and then 3, and it's in your hero phase. So it's kind of like it's not as bad as Star Trek. You've got less places for the objectives can land, because basically it can land in this grid of 9 points, and that's the mission. So there's 12 missions. Yeah, I'll show you the allies, Alistair. Hang on. So yeah, so that's it for all of it. I think I know it's been a bit of a crazy ride and there's a lot to cover.
So there's 12 of those battle plans, is there, Russ?
Yes.
Okay, so only having to remember 12 is lots better than 18.
Okay, so that's the allies for Gloomspite Orc War clans.
Yeah, that's not the type of question that we'd be inclined to answer or could answer.
And like in terms of Archeon, so there's the coalition rules which someone asked me to put up, so I'll just go back to those. So I think it's here. There we go. So coalition. Now we don't know yet because we haven't seen the rules really, because I guess that'll be in the FAQ. But what we've got here is coalition are like they're in your army. They don't break your faction. They're not allies, but they don't count to your battle line minimum. So in the example in this box out here, it says that coalition units differ from allies. They are more closely tied to your army. Restrictions applied to allies do not apply to coalition. For example, they could be given enhancements. Examples of units that can be included in the army as coalition are Chaos Warriors with a marker Khorne in Blades of Khorne, and Stormcast Eternals in a Cities of Sigmar army. If an army can include coalition units, this will be explained in the allegiance abilities for the army's faction. So obviously it's a new rule. It's the allegiance abilities don't mention it because that's the old edition. I would imagine there'll be an FAQ and that'll cover it off. But I would say that because of the kind of the lore of Archeon and who he is, I don't think you need to worry about him leading a Chaos army of any description. So
yeah,
I'd say
catastrophic.
I don't think Games Workshop would break their own story. It's kind of what they do. Justin, we covered that. If you want to watch the video back, you'll be able to look at it. Yes, we did share the endless points, spell points as well, Patrick. But I can flash them up now for you if you're just for ease while we're chatting.
Yeah, guys, we will absolutely be drilling down properly in depth. There's a huge amount of information here, but we will be dissecting this in various shows at a later date.
Yeah, and also
we're
our channel. We do a lot of match play stuff. So we do list text, we do tournament coverage when we can actually play in them. We talk about games, not necessarily battle reports, but we talk about learning points from games. So feel free to get involved. If you still got questions around core rules, we've got a whole series of videos in the playlist all about the core rules. We've got another video premiering tomorrow and another one the day after. We're going to be doing another live stream on Saturday. Members will get access to to special posts and also special live streams if you sign up for the next tier of members. So core battalions do not have points, Cyrilad. They are free. so you don't need to pay for them. So all you need to do is pick units that fit into them, and they cost nothing, which is great, because you could just basically include what you want. So again, Papa Chris, I don't know, because that's going to end up being an FAQ. No worries, thanks Tim, thanks for the donation.
Yeah, thanks Tim.
Yeah, I'll flash Savage Vein up.
Grand Alliance.
Don't know if that's a troll.
No more.
No, Grand Alliance is no more, because basically, Savage Gains, you mean, or Savage Veins? Veins of Ghur or Savage Gains. So, no worries, cheers, War Machine. Yeah, so Grand Alliance armies are gone because they don't, in matched play, because they don't have a faction. So, well, now this has been up for a little bit, I'll swap it over again. So, when we talk about like a faction, for example, like Flesh Eaters, let me just double do that. Okay, so like Flesh Eaters.
Oh, welcome, Brad. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, Brad. Welcome to the militia. It's got the Horde icon, that's fine. If it was Alliance, I'd have to rescind your offer.
Oh, stop it. We're nerd enough already.
For the Horde. No. I'm going to lose a member now. No, so you've got this Flesh Eaters Court. So this is your faction at the top. So this here. So that basically means that that's what you can take in your army. Your allies are from here, from Soulblight. So that's how it works. So there's no faction, which is Grand Alliance Death. So you can't take mixed death. So I would say that's it, really. I just want to say thanks to everyone who checked our stream out. If you're
Enemy Mike's list, Gabe. If he's got secret tech for Sinesh, I'll try and run it against you on Saturday. I think Vanguard definitely are winners. Count as 2 models and they're untouched. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think TLDR, Elite Cav or Solid Cav has done well out of this. You might even see someone bringing 10 units of Wild Riders to a game and get absolutely ruined by them. I think people probably aren't aware how it's going to feel when you're slightly restricted and your opponent's just running around with little darts everywhere. So this may well be the unit, the MSU return.
Yeah, I think so. And this edition is very anti-Horde. Patrick, yes, the Balewind Vortex is gone. So it's not in the points. I don't think you could buy the model. So it's gone. The Baldwin Vortex is gone. So certainly for match play. I mean, if you play a narrative, fill your boots. So there you go. I mean, obviously, I know people asking about Monsters Arcanum and Legends. I believe Monsters Arcanum are a PDF that are on the Forge World Wars website, which in this book it does say they're legal, but not the Legends portion of that PDF. So what's in there, don't know. I think Morsar 155 or Morsar Ishlian are 155, Morsar 195. I always get them mixed up. Morsar are the spear ones that do the Volti.
Yeah.
Right? So they're 195.
I think Igeneth possibly didn't come out of this great, but
I think they did all right. I mean, I think Reavers a lot of the armies that have got access to shooting units you never really saw that were short range are really good because of Unleash Hell. So
yeah,
I think you're literally.
I mean, everyone's concentrating on eels and the one leader who went up, right? Because that's what the army was. Maybe the army is what it was intended to be now.
Yeah, but Reavers,
you're going to see turtles and thralls
didn't go up. Reavers are cheap, 115 for Reavers. I mean, if you've got a unit of 20 of those, you just you stand and Unleash Hell. Pretty good. I mean, obviously, the turtle, I think it's 380s a steal. I think Caracross going down was great. I think Bloodthirsters are great. Cheers, Donal. Welcome to the militia.
Indeed.
So it's great. So Monsters Arcanum, I don't have it, Goob, so it's not out yet. So it's not in the handbook. They've not released the PDF, so it'll be when they release it. So you can't spam.
It's not currently playable.
Spam. So yeah, I mean, it does say that you can use them. So I would imagine that we would see the FAQs fairly shortly. So I'm hoping they come in the next couple of weeks. Once they're out, I will obviously do a.
You remember how much stuff needs looking at, so if it's
tell them
slower than normal, if it's slower than normal, there's a lot for stuff to be reconsidered, reworked, and then translated into however many languages. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this one takes a little while, but we will see. It's a big undertaking. The game has been entirely changed a lot. So
yeah. I think like people are sort of saying, are these still good? Are these still bad? Have they gone up? Have they gone down? Honestly, the game is so different.
game.
You need to play some games, realize that it's a completely different game, really. So all the meta that you had in your head, that's all gone, and you're starting from scratch. And I think it's a great start to the journey where you're like, what is it's almost like a fresh start. So all the tier lists and all this, don't play this, don't play that, forget all that, find your own way, find the book you like, deep dive, find the thing that works, unlock the combination, play games. Don't listen to people, oh, they're crap now, they're good now, because it's like, end of the day, like, you play it and find out. Like, if you want to play Nighthaunt, play Nighthaunt. They're great. I think they're great. You know, like you know, it's not everything. Some stuff looks cheaper, some looks better, but obviously the addition changes how units are in the game anyway. Like even like units that can rally. I mean, like if you've got like that unit of 18 ogres rallying that unit, like I mean, if you'd lost 2/3 of the unit, you're gonna roll 12 dice. If you pop 4 6s, you're getting so much more equity out of that.
Oh, it's grim, isn't it? Yeah, I think there's definitely some stuff like that that would be super interesting to see on the table and will blow people's minds.
Yeah, and I think Ogre's actually quite an interesting book because before you didn't see them really outside Beastclaw, and I think they've got like quite an interesting, you know, like changes to them. But yeah, I know Sanesh.
Well, you guys will get to watch the process of me moaning slightly, but mostly trying to be constructive. I'm going to take them and I will play them like 2 or 3 times on Saturday and try and make them work. So we will report back. And anyone who is trying to make their old army work and they can't quite manage it, I'm in a worse spot and I will be providing info on how to best adapt to the new edition or points or whatever it is you're struggling with.
Yeah. Yeah, Andrew, if you need to throw it out the window, I'll give you my address. You just send it to me. I'll take care of it for you. Don't worry. So you can yeah, Robert, just it's great. Like, so hopefully we can all get back to playing. Yeah. So right, we could talk for hours.
How constructive people have been in the chat.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us and still sticking with us for our bit. And it's good to see everyone. So hopefully we'll see you again on another stream, and thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and thanks again for joining us and just being part of it. So see you all soon.
Absolutely, guys. We do have Patreon. You can become a member on YouTube, and there's going to be some benefits to that in the near future. And any sharing, liking, or whatever is much appreciated. Thank you so much for all of your support. Also, people have been pretty constructive in the chat, which is awesome. And that's exactly the type of approach we like to take to the game. So stick around and hit the subs button and the bell notification if you want to join in more educated discussion or attempted educated discussion where we try and make this work and have lots of fun doing it.
Yeah, it does. And if you want to get involved with the community, you can join the Discord. And if you're on a Patreon tier, you'll get extra access on Discord. So, yeah, catch you all again soon, guys. Thanks very much.
Okay, guys, I will link Discord in the chat now.